We find the All Whites in the heat of Dubai as preparations for World Cup qualifying continue, this time against the Scorpions of West Africa, the Gambia. After a near 2-year hiatus, October saw the men's national football side return to action, and head coach Danny Hay will be looking to build on the wonderful foundations laid against Curacao and Bahrain.
Does fancy a go, taking a deflection and it's in. Well, that's why Bill Tuiloma was lining it up. He may well get the credit for this goal. Chance here on the counter now for New Zealand and Wood surely, and it is 2-0. And this is the game plan working to perfection. No whistle. Everyone comes to a stop. A chance here, and they've scored a goal late in the piece. Nico Kerwin, what a moment for the substitute. New Zealand too good for Bahrain. They were too good for Curacao, and they make it 2 from 2. 1-0 here in Bahrain.
Morena, good morning and welcome to the Sky Sports coverage of the All Whites and the Gambia from Dubai. We have assembled for you the hairiest panel ever in Sky Sports history for this one. That's what lockdown does to you, right? We've got Jacob Spoonley, Ivan Visilic, former All Whites, joining us this morning. Guys, your hair is looking absolutely immaculate. But first of all, let's talk about this game. It's an opportunity for the All Whites to build on the success of that October window today, isn't it, Jacob?
Yeah, it is, and it's superb to be talking about an all-white side that could go 4 on the bounce. 3 full internationals included in that, and they'll be up against a really intriguing Gambia side with a lot of individual threats. For our boys, it's important that they punctuate the preparation for the World Cup qualifiers with a really good performance and keep up that momentum.
Yeah, it's a great chance for the team to be back together again and gelling those combinations in training and also in game time. I mean, I think what is also great about international window for the players is that they get a break from their club football. So it's super intense there, week in and week out. They get together with their friends and their countrymen now, and they can train together and build on those last 2 games that we saw in October, and hopefully we can see some good football today.
Yeah, and speaking of building, Ivan, you know, they're building a winning record, a winning streak. They haven't won 3 in a row since 2016. They're on the verge of doing it again. I know they beat Algeria A at the weekend, but to beat 3 full internationals on the bounce, that'll be pretty good leading into those March qualifiers.
Absolutely, super important for their confidence. I mean, the performance has been very good as well. It hasn't been lucky wins, they've been deserved. And, you know, we can see today as well, you know, they can build on that. And if they can get that result as well, it's another great result for them.
That's right, and I think we're likely to see some returning figures today, which is going to be really important for us. So I think we're getting close to what will look like our starting 11, and that's important for Danny as he's got an eye on a really congested 2022 fixture list.
Yeah, and we can reveal Danny Hay's starting 11 for this fixture right here, right now. And first of all, cast your eyes to the heart of defence where you'll find the returning Winston Reid. Danny Hay, he reckons that Reid might be in the best shape of his life. Time will tell just how many minutes the former Hammer will deliver against the Gambia. Joey Champness gets another start high on the right following a thoroughly impressive debut performance against Bahrain in October. And after returning to Germany and subsequently missing that Bahrain match, Sarpreet Singh is back and forms a very lethal left side combination with Libby Kakache and Eli Just. Marinovic edges vowed for keeping duties, and you just can't keep Chris Wood out of the action. He starts and he captains the side. All right, Ivan, plenty to talk about, formation, players used, but first of all, your expertise defending. How wonderful is it to see the likes of Winston Reid returning to the international fold today?
Yeah, it's great to see. I mean, the guy's a super leader and a top player for was his club and now for his country. So, you know, it's exciting to see him there. It's great that he's able to, you know, lace up the boots when he hasn't got a club at the moment. So he's obviously keeping fit and doing well. And he's obviously done enough in training in the last week or so to be up for selection. And I think he's going to be great for the defence. I mean, we've seen it in the past. It's very hard for a striker to get past Winston Reid. So that's great for, you know, the back of their minds for the players and the team to know that that's behind them.
And I think looking at the formation, we're going with a 4-3-3. We're going to play with a flat front line, which means that we're going to have to get a lot of work out of our midfield. So typically, Stamenic and Bell get through around about 11 to 12 Ks per game. I think today, with the extra workload, they're going to be looking at 13 to 14, particularly with Sarpreet Singh there looking to pull the heat. That's going to be a massive ask. But more than that, as you touched on, that left-hand side is dangerous. We've seen the likes of Just, Kakache and Singh play at age group level. and they've also played together in the Island game. Now, over those 4 matches at the Under-20 World Cup and the Island game, they've played a combined 375 minutes. And in that, Goran, remember it's 4 games, they've combined for 7 goals. Scored 2 amongst the 3 of them, and then they've got 5 assists. Now, in terms of return on investment, that's massive, particularly at international level.
Stat Attack with Jacob Spoonley early on your Wednesday morning. Thanks for that, Jake. Hey, Ivan, in terms of formation, the 4-3-3, is this the best formation for the All Whites, or do you think that there's still some tinkering to do for Danny Hay?
Look, I still think there's tinkering to do, but I think it's the best for us, because I think with that flat 3 up front that Jacob said, we can defend a little bit higher from the front. So that gives us more chance to win the ball higher and then potentially counter-attack or get our chances. So, look, it's unfortunate for someone like Boxall, who if there was a back 3 or back 5, he would potentially be starting there straight away. But, he's a great player that's in good form at the moment, that's unluckily missed out. But, it's going to be exciting to see the guys back out there. I mean, I've been super impressed with Sarpreet Singh and Chapness in the last window. We saw flashes of brilliance from both of them. And again, hopefully we can see that today.
Yeah, we'll talk about Sarpreet and we'll talk about Joey Champness in a moment here on Sky Sports coverage of the All Whites against the Gambia. But first of all, when the All Whites play, it gives us an opportunity to check out the extremely talented defensive midfielder, Joe Bell, future All Whites captain in the making. This guy, he's showed off in October, Jacob, his massive engine and also that wide range of passing that he possesses.
Well, I can't remember him putting a foot wrong since he's pulled on the all-white shirt. He's been wonderful, and he's occupied that defensive midfield role. As we see there, his range of passing means that he can change controlled possession to attack for the All Whites. He's deadly on a set piece, so I think he'll be fighting off the ball, the dead ball with Sarpreet Singh today. And his maturity, his consistency, and his understanding of that role means that Danny's comfortable playing him there by himself. Traditionally, we've seen All Whites coaches look to play 2 defensive midfielders, but with Joe Bell, Danny can play Joe by himself and then look to play the likes of Sarpreet Singh, Ryan Thomas or Marcus Stamenic further forward.
Yeah, what's really good about Bell is he always wants the ball, and that's key for the defenders and coming out from the defence for even for the keepers, So to get him on the ball, and we saw that in the October window against Bahrain, he was in a lot of pockets of space there. I mean, Bahrain couldn't handle that, and they didn't change formation to counter-attack that. But we saw him on the ball. He set up a lot of switcher plays, which Danny loves, and which gave Chapness the time to attack. But, what he's doing is he's actually playing, it looks like he's playing well above his experience, but, so that's going to be good for him.
Just to plagiarise a Jason Pine stat, but update it slightly. Since May, he's played for club and country 28 games, and in all 28 games, he's played the full 90 minutes. He is relentless in terms of his pursuit of being better, and I think we're likely to see him move on, potentially in the January transfer window, because he's attracting a lot of interest.
Yeah, I mean, that just speaks to his high-quality engine. Joe Bell, looking forward to seeing him this morning. Also, looking forward to seeing Sarpreet Singh. He was absent in the second game in the October window, didn't play against Bahrain, but what we saw against Curacao, Ivan, very, very spectacular.
Yeah, we talked about it off camera, me and Spoons, and we're trying to get a player similar to him that's been in the All Whites before, and it's very difficult to pinpoint who that could be, because what Sarpreet gives us is that little bit of magic, and he's able to see that pass, which is a killer pass. And, that's exciting for people to watch, but it's also great for the attacking players in the team. When they make those runs, they know that it's possible they're going to get that ball.
What did they miss having him absent for the Bahrain game? Was there a significant drop-off with Sarpreet Singh not being available?
Look, I think it's a really good question, and I was thinking about it this morning, early morning, by the way, Grant. We started pretty early this morning.
Got out of bed at 2.
It's not that you're missing anything, it's that Sarpreet, like Winston Reid does, he elevates the play. Not only with what he does individually, but he also demands standards and emanates the performance emanates out. So he makes players around him better.
And the ability to bring good form from his German side, Ivan, into the All Whites camp, obviously good for him, but that must bleed throughout the squad as a whole. Absolutely.
Look, he's come back into camp in top form, and what's really interesting is his journey. I mean, he's made an incredible move to Bayern Munich, which no one would ever have dreamed of, and he's done really well there. But he's obviously had a little bit of not a rough time there, but a difficult time to break in, because the team is incredible, Jacob. It's one of the best teams in the world. But he's actually been able to respond and good performances and goals in Bundesliga too. And if he can continue that, I'm pretty sure we're going to see him make another move.
And Well, he's in the Zwei Bundesliga. He's pushing for promotion with Jan Regensburg. Played 13 games so far this season, been made the direct contribution to 8 goals, 4 assists and 4 absolute screamers that we've seen him score. So we're hoping he's going to take that club form into the Gambia game today.
In October, the only thing hotter than the Bahrain temperature was Joey Champness on debut. The guy was running all day long and taking on defenders. He was a nightmare, Jacob.
He was, and we talked about the Sarpreet Singh combination with Chris Wood against Curacao. Joey Champness, we're going to be looking for him to get the ball off Sarpreet Singh this morning, and his individual skill was enough to create a nightmare for that left back. In the first 15 minutes alone, I counted him going past him 4 times. So he will want to forget about Joey Champness very quickly. What he brings is a directness and a pace, and that's key because he's a point of difference for this all-white side. We've got wonderful ball players, but he can go beyond and he can beat players, which is incredibly important at international level.
Yeah, he's got that electric speed, and, you know, for me, really impressed. I was disappointed that he went off in the end of that game because, you know, we missed that little bit of sparkle from him. But, you know, what's great is that he's come on the scene and he's impressed everyone, and he's obviously pushing now for potentially a starting spot when the big games come along. So he gives us that out when he gets on the ball. He doesn't lose it. You know, in the last couple of games we saw, he didn't lose it. He takes players on. So what that gives to the team is that calmness and that confidence to give him the ball and know that we're going to get some sort of, you know, reward for his efforts. And, you know, if that can convert into goals and chances, that's great.
Yeah, there's a lot to be excited about when it comes to this all-white side. But if you had to be highly critical, if you had to nitpick, then you'd probably look at their lack of success in front of goal. Yes, they are creating chances, Ivan, but they're not taking them. Is this a massive concern to you?
Yeah, that's the golden question of football. You know, everyone wants to score every chance, but it's always very difficult for that. You know, we believe they can, but it's difficult. I mean, one of the most important things for me is that we are creating those chances. And to me, that if we weren't creating those chances, that would be a bigger problem. So, you know, we've got the likes of Wood up there who's going to put away chances we know he can at club level, and we can hope that he can at international level.
Yeah, we're not as cohesive as we need to be, and I think we can put that down to a lack of chemistry, lack of game time. But if we look at the Curacao game and the Bahrain games, we created a lot of chances. 17 shots against Bahrain, 7 on target, 10 attacks into that final third. Against Curacao, that was 13 shots, 7 on target again, and 8 chances in that final third. We've got to improve that conversion rate, because if we look forward to the Intercontinental Playoff, touch wood, and World Cup qualifying, if we can put games away early, that's going to mean that we can rest players during World Cup qualifying. And again, in that Intercontinental game, it's going to mean that we can be on that front foot and really cement any sort of ascendancy that we do have.
Jacob, just quickly before a break here, are we putting too much pressure on the likes of Chris Wood? And I mean that the players, they're almost experiencing like a fear factor, playing alongside somebody who plays week in, week out in the English Premier League. Are they trying to feed him all the time, and maybe they should pick and choose their moments? Yeah,
I think it's a really good point, because Woodsy probably is, you know, head and shoulders literally above the guys that he is playing with. And if you look across that front line, it's very young. So there's a maturity factor there, you're right. But Chris Wood is going to appreciate and invite the pressure. He wants it, because he scores week in, week out for Burnley, and he's going to look to do the same for the All Whites.
Counting down to kick off here with Jacob Spoonley, Ivan Visilic, former All Whites, as the All Whites prepare for the Gambia. Stay with us. Thanks for your company this morning, nice and early on Sky Sport. Counting down to kick off, the All Whites up against the Gambia from Maktoum bin Rashid Al Maktoum Stadium in Dubai. Jacob Spoonley, Ivan Visilic in watching this one. Let's take a look at the Gambia briefly, gentlemen, because they're ranked 147th in the world. They are out of qualifying for the World Cup, but they have something to play for in January, the African Cup of Nations, Jacob. So how pleased will they be to get an opposition the calibre of the All Whites right now?
In terms of the preparation for the African Cup of Nations, vary. But what we are hearing, and this might be hard for the Kiwi audience to believe, but we're hearing that there's a fear factor with Gambia. They're looking at the formation. There's indecision about which system to go with because they're trying to nullify the threat that the All Whites possess.
Yeah, I think if they see our formation, they will see some quality players in there, and they're, they'll be concerned about that. I mean, we know that they've got a couple that they're leaving out of their squad, but I think for them as well. I mean, we know the difficulty of getting friendlies at this time because World Cup qualifiers are going on across the world. So for them to get an opposition like New Zealand, who's just won 2 games in October, it'll be very good for them to get a game under their legs.
Who are some of the players to watch for viewers this morning who may not know a lot about the Gambia? Jacob, who can you name check and what can we look out for?
Well, look, they've got a really strong contingent in Europe, and we've seen pockets of players in the likes of Scandinavia, Italy in particular, and then also Belgium and Switzerland. So in terms of players that we can name, Omar Cooley plays week in, week out for Sampdoria. They've got Darbo, the youngster who's in the Roma system under Mourinho. And then we've also seen Yanko, who the audience might remember from his days in Man United. He's currently playing Real Valladolid in La Liga. So there are a couple of players there, but there's one name that we haven't touched on yet.
And that name being Musa Barrow. And this guy, he is a highlights reel, and let's take a look at his highlights reel because it's thoroughly impressive, Ivan. The guy likes to pull the trigger from anywhere.
Yeah, look, the guy's CV speaks for himself. I mean, he's played for Atalanta, who we know this season is in the Champions League and doing really well. He's at the moment at Bologna, and, over the last 6 years, he's had 100 appearances, scored 25 goals. League in Europe, so it's going to be a great challenge for our defence and our team to be able to counter-attack him. And also, Jacob touched on a player that had just signed for Roma, 20-year-old, just signed for Roma. He's played twice this year for Roma. So, almost a little bit of a replica of what Saprit Singh did. He's gone into a massive club in Europe, and it'll be exciting to see how he can perform against All Whites.
Musa Barrow, just coming back to him quickly, the 23-year-old is a €13 million problem for the All Whites. He likes to start on that left wing and then drift inside onto his right foot, as we saw. He likes to shoot, aiming for that far corner. So Nico Kerwin, with this system and that high, flat front three, he's going to go one-on-one with Barrow for a lot of this game. And once he starts drifting in, I think we need to see the experience and the leadership of Winston Reid to take care of him.
Well, look, the defending shouldn't be an issue for the All Whites because, as we've seen recently throughout the Olympic campaign and in these international windows, the defending has been sound, Ivan Visilic. Listen, when you look at the formations that they've changed, the players that have changed, the one thing that's been a constant is solid defending. How has that been the case?
Yeah, look, I guess it starts from the coach. I mean, Danny was a defender himself, and a lot of the tactical side of it will be starting from the defensive shape, and he gives that free role to the strikers and the attacking midfielders. But in defence, he'll be locking that in as best he can, and he'll be working on that. We're blessed with the likes of Reid, but we've also got across the sort of middle of the park good defensive-minded players, and that holds a lot to the team.
Danny refers to it as the foundation on which the castle's built, and that solidity in defence is really impressive when you consider the record that the All Whites have got since the preparation for the Olympics. So there's a lot of crossover in that Olympics team and this current All Whites team. So if we go through it, they've played 9, they've only conceded 6, they've had 2 losses in 90 minutes, they've used 4 different formations, included 13 players, 3 on debut. That is incredibly impressive when you consider that often a solid defence is built on consistent combination, set formation and experienced old players like Ivan here. So Danny's really
experienced players. He's not old, mate.
Danny's really flying in the face of those traditional tenants, and we're still getting results.
All right. We're not too far away from kickoff here on Sky Sports. So final thoughts, gentlemen. Predictions for this one. Is it a comfortable win for the All Whites, or will the Gambia test them, Ivan?
Look, I think it's going to be a very tough test. As we've mentioned, they've got players scattered around Europe in top leagues, so it's going to be an exciting game. It's going to be great to see if they could get another good result.
I love how you jumped in there and didn't let Ivan get a punch back in, mate. That was awesome. No, look, I think there's an individual threat here from Gambia, but the system and the process that Danny has put in place and the positions and roles that he's given the understanding to this team, I think they'll win out at the end of the day. It's going to be a close game, though, Goran, one I'm really looking forward to.
And who sort of breaks this game wide open for the All Whites? Who are we most looking forward to? Who will be that X-Factor player?
I'm going to say it's the aggregation of the spine of this team. Winston Reid, Joe Bell and Sarpreet Singh into the likes of Chris Wood is key for me.
Exactly. I think the balance needs to be strong, and whether that's defending or making a chance in the attacking area of the field. So we'll see hopefully some magic from Champness and Singh, but we'll also see some quality at the back as well, defending and also, you know, in goal as well.
And Ivan, will we see some accurate finishing? Some of those chances that are created, they will be taken?
I hope so.
I think what we're going to see is Danny putting real pressure on this All Whites team. He's going to say, let's get to the sharp end of the stick now, boys. And I think you're going to see Chris Wood with the bit between his teeth. He knows, reflecting on that Bahrain game, that he didn't come up with the goods. So today he's got a bit of a challenge, and there's nothing more that man likes than meeting those sorts of challenges.
And Jacob, there'll be some interested viewers back home or throughout Australasia, I suppose I should say, players that ply their trade in the A-League. You know, they'll be fascinated with what goes on today and what's been going on in October as well. What does their future entail if the side continues to do well without them?
Well, it's a difficult question. We've got the 11 in the widest squad over in the UAE at the moment. What we don't have is those A-League-based players. And I think there's some really key players that are not part of this squad. So if we look across it, the likes of an Ollie Sale, Costa Barbarouses, Marco Rojas, Tim Payne and Clayton Lewis. They'll be players that have a really keen eye on this, because there is a lot of competition within the squad at the moment, and they'll be hoping that they get their chance in that January window if there are games confirmed.
Yeah, look, I think it's a difficult time for them. I mean, watching the national team play and not being part of that is disappointing for any player. So, you know, the good thing is the A-League starts very soon, so they get some game rhythm. If they can start performing well, the coaching staff are going to see that, and they're going to be able to be up for selection. So they need to be playing week in and week out, and that will happen leading up to that very important early 2022.
Jacob, in the October internationals, they split duties, the goalkeepers. We saw Stefan Marinovic and Michael Vaud play in goal. Today, it's Stefan Marinovic. Who do you think has the edge ahead of those World Cup qualifiers in March? Or is it still up in the air?
I think the important thing for Danny is that every time he's put Stefan out on the field, as we touched on last time, independent of his club form, Stefan's answered the bell. So he's put in good performances. He's a really solid contributor to this All Whites team, and he's got experience when you look at the previous campaigns, particularly that one where we went close against Peru. So I think Stefan's got the edge at the moment. Michael's definitely earmarked for the future, but if you look underneath that, we see Jamie Searle as part of the squad today, and then you've also got Ollie Sale, who's waiting there. Had a great season last year. So in terms of depth, we've got a wonderful stock in goalkeepers at the moment, and something that I love talking about, Ivan. I know you do too.
Yeah, keepers are different, yeah, but we've got a lot of them.
Yeah, the goalkeepers union's full of weirdos, eh?
Yep. Yeah, having that abundance.
I'll deal with you later, by the way. I'm going off camera in a minute.
You know, having that abundance of keepers puts a pressure on them as well to perform. So it keeps them sharp. And, you know, what we know from Stefan is that he's playing regularly at club level. And, you know, leading up to the big games, again, if they can continue to play regularly at club level, that means, you know, their form is good. One
of the positions that I think that we also need to touch on is the likes of right back. So Nico Cohen gets another chance today, which is great for the young man. Had a good 2 performances against Curacao and Bahrain, including that goal. But we're not seeing today Bill Tuiloma. And I understand that Danny wants to see him at right back because he's a player that's got versatility, he's got pace, and he could fill that spot that at the moment there's a little bit of uncertainty around it. There continues to be uncertainty in that position. He's waiting for someone to put their hand up to take the opportunity.
Yeah, I think with Bill is that he's got that little bit more experience than Nico Cohen. Nico's had a good start to his career at the international level, but Bill will have that more experience. So, you know, hopefully he can get fit and we can see him in an international warm-up game prior to those qualifiers.
The other one for me is Ryan Thomas. Had an injury, long-term injury, has come back from that. He's in and around the squad for PSV at the moment in the Eredivisie. So I'm keen to see where he fits into this really congested midfield.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it, when you look at how the All Whites have progressed in recent times and the players that can still come in, we're looking at a very, very strong all-white squad for 2022.
So exciting, Goran, so exciting. We've got players that we can use, particularly if you look forward to the World Cup qualifying, which will potentially be in March. We've got the ability to rotate and still maintain the quality, which is something we haven't always been able to do with this all-whites team.
The last time the all-whites defeated 3 full international sides on the bounce was in 2016. Thanks to October's defeats of Curaçao and Bahrain, this iteration of our national side is on the verge of doing just that, with a win over the Gambia today, securing 3 in a row. Of course, the All Whites won't have it all their own way, with the aptly named Scorpions hoping to provide a sting in this footballing tale. It's time to hand you over to our matchday commentary team of former All White striker Fast Fred de Jong and the voice of football in Aotearoa, Jason Pine.
National anthem for New Zealand team.
After 700 days without any games at all, the All Whites come together for their 4th match in just over 5 weeks as Danny Hay starts to build some cohesion in his New Zealand squad ahead of a massive 2022. Their final outing of this year brings them to Dubai, where they face African side, the Gambia. Let's have a look at how New Zealand line up. Just 2 who started on the behind closed doors friendly against Algeria A start this one. Centre-back Nando Panika and Marko Stamenic in midfield. Winston Reid makes his first appearance since the Tokyo Olympics. Sarpreet Singh has overcome a minor niggle and will also start Joey Champness and Eli Just, partner captain Chris Wood up top. Our officials are all based in the UAE. Sultan Mohammed Salah is the referee. Zayed Dawood, Ali Rashid Al Nuamimi, and are the assistant referees. Mohammed Abdallah Al Hamoudi is the 4th official. Winston Reid has taken the captain's armband. We expect him to play at least a half today and hopefully a little bit more, but great to see him back in New Zealand colours. His first appearance since the injury he picked up at the Tokyo Olympics, living these days in Dubai as he looks for the next move in his club career. Such an important part of this New Zealand side, Winston Reid. An exciting lineup name for the Gambia. Sadie Yanko played youth football for Switzerland and spent time at Manchester United and Celtic. Musa Barrow, an excitement machine up front. Omar Colley from Sampdoria in Serie A anchors the defensive line. And the Darbo brothers, Dembo and Ibrima, both start this one. Fred de Jong alongside Fred. It's a nice position to be in, to have 4 games in just over a month for Danny Hay. What's he going to be looking for from his side today. And good morning, by the way.
Yeah, good morning, Piney. Good morning, everyone. I'm really looking forward to this game. Another opportunity to see the progression in this team against a side that pose a very, very different footballing problem, which is exactly the test that Danny Hay's looking for in this window. Yes, their world ranking is lower than New Zealand. They've got quality players in quality leagues around the world, and I think for New Zealand, structure wins the day today. I've seen a fair bit of African football in recent times, and I think if New Zealand can stay structured, then the unstructured nature of African play will be their undoing.
Just about set for a start here, the Maktoum bin Rashid Al Maktoum Stadium in Dubai. Just gone 8 o'clock in the evening local time. A lot more comfortable temperature-wise than in Bahrain a month or so ago. All in readiness for the start of this friendly international between New Zealand and the Gambia. Referee Salah gets us underway. The All Whites in all black, as has been the tradition recently, attacking the goal to our right, and the Gambia in red and blue heading back towards the left of your screen. An attacking looking lineup named for New Zealand, with Chris Wood accompanied up front by Eli Just and Joey Champness, both capable of real trickery with ball at feet. Be interesting to see how Gambia attack this one. There was word early on, Fred de Jong, that they perhaps were a bit nervous about the prospect of facing such an attacking New Zealand side.
Yes, and I think New Zealand will press very high. They'll try and just really unsettle this Gambia side. Expect to see Joey Champness, Eli Just stay very high. They're not going to be asked to come back to do much defensive work, and New Zealand will be looking to switch the play quickly from one side of the pitch to the other, and then attack with the likes of Champness and his dribbling ability, and Eli Just on the wings.
Here's a chance for Champness early. Gives it up, though, to Stamenik. Such a exciting prospect, Marco Stamenik, just 19 years old. I'll head out towards the left, and just about every player's had an early touch of the ball for New Zealand. Fifth different centre-back pairing in the last 5 games under Danny Hay, with Nando Peineke and Winston Reid teaming up there this evening. Reid looking for Just, and it'll be the first set piece of the evening for New Zealand. Just 90 seconds gone, and I don't think Gambia have touched the ball, have they?
And great early signs for New Zealand, because I think this is going to be a game where they can dictate the play. They can maintain possession. They can move this Gambia side around the pitch, and if they're patient and then get the ball out wide and then into Chris Wood, I think they can get a lot of mileage out of that.
A lot of talk in the pre-game about Joe Bell. He's on set-piece duty nice and early in this one. Tall timber all forward, as New Zealand have an early chance to create an issue in the area, and the issue comes with a header from Stamenik. They can't get it away, Gambia, but flag up for offside. Near post delivery from Bell was good. Stamenik's header not troubling the keeper. It was blocked on the way through, but a good early opportunity for New Zealand at set-piece time.
Yeah, worrying signs for Gambia here. The marking is terrible. Number 26 just leaving Stamenik just to run into the 6-yard box and get a free header on that. And Gambia very lucky not to be a goal down inside 3 minutes.
Gaye, the keeper, actually did keep that one out, so an early ball on the gloves for him. Waters fouled as he makes his way down the left, so some early intent from New Zealand here. The Gambia sitting very deep.
Yeah, not a great challenge. This one from James Gomez, just upending Chris Wood wide on that right flank.
So Bell and Singh look likely to share the set-piece duties at free kick and corner kick time. A couple of options here, with Bell able to swing it in right-footed. Sarpreet Singh's educated left is also an option. Peineke, Reid, Wood, the tall timber. Champness there as well. Stamenik just outside the penalty area. It is going to be Bell to deliver. Gambia struggling to clear their lines. It's been a rather shaky start from the Africans. First opportunity for Nico Kerwin, a goal scorer in the last match, and his delivery aimed forward, just a bit big. And Babaku Gaye, the goalkeeper, in action again. The Gambia building towards their maiden appearance at the African Cup of Nations in January, an exciting time for their football fans as they contemplate a first appearance at that tournament.
And again, good to see New Zealand pushing up, putting this Gambia defence under pressure as they try to build out from the back, pick up the ball inside the opposition half, and then springboard forward, another corner. So really good early signs for Danny Hay here.
Danny Hay's 5th game in charge of New Zealand, if you include the game against Algeria A the other day, which doesn't count as a full international, but certainly will count it as another win for Danny Hay's side. Singh's come across to bend this one in left-footed. Once again, plenty of black shirts to aim at. This one's dealt with a bit more comfortably. Eli Just, though, and the early low shot from Just. Gaye called into action again. It's been all New Zealand in the first 5 minutes, as Babaku Gaye has been called into action a couple of times.
I think that's a good point, that as we see Eli Just again, just blasting past his man and then getting his shot come cross away. But the guys touched on it. New Zealand dominating the game totally here at the moment, but they have to convert. They need to, these moments in the game, you're really on top. You've really got to convert your chances, and that really does put the opposition under pressure.
So far under Danny Hay, the All Whites have had losses to Ireland by 3-1 and Lithuania 1-0. They beat Curacao 2-1 in the last window, then that 1-0 win over Bahrain with Nico Kerwin's late goal. Algeria A beaten 2-1 a few days ago with Andre de Jong and Callum McCowart on the score sheet. First chance for the Gambia to get into the attacking third, and they've won their own corner. 24 is Dembo Darbo, plays his football currently in Belarus for an unpronounceable club, which I won't even have a crack at.
Go on, Finey. Shakhtar something.
Brother of Ibrahim
Solyagorsk, we'll go with that, eh?
Solyagorsk in Belarus, there you go. The corner lined up by Yusufa Bob. Another of these Gambian players who ply their trade in Italy. His delivery's good as well. Good clearance by Winston Reid, dominating in the air nice and early. Some more defending to do for New Zealand. The Gambia known as the Scorpions. This is Omar Colley, their experienced central defender. Last chance for New Zealand to get together before Christmas. The players will disperse after this back to their clubs. Their season's in various stages of progress. Some of the European leagues are drawing towards a close in the Scandinavian countries. Others are only about halfway through. Joe Bell of Viking, 4 more games for him. There is the coach of the Gambia, Tom Saintfiet. They call him the Saint. He's got a CV to rival just about any coach I've ever seen. He's coached in about 14 different countries.
Yeah, some of those tenures not the longest either, 2-3 months. So that boy's been around the traps.
Reid stepping into midfield, and then the diagonal pass aimed for Just. His cross is a bit big for Chris Wood at the far post. Chris Wood, you can't deny his dedication to the cause. His 60th game for New Zealand tonight. 25 goals, just 4 short of Vaughan Coveney's national scoring record. Vaughan got his 29 in 64 games. Chris Wood 25 and 59 at the moment, so he's on target to get there more quickly than the great Vaughan Coveney did.
Yeah, I think, Jason, the last attack from New Zealand a real template for how Danny wants to play. Winston Reid picks the ball up down that right, just on in the right half space, and then quick switch of play, and we saw Chris Wood bursting into the box. Just the quality of the cross didn't from Libby Kikache, couldn't find him, but that's exactly what Danny Hay's looking for. Quick switches in play and really good early delivery.
Yusufa Bob not able to find a teammate. A lot of the play early in this one has been down New Zealand's left. Haven't had a chance yet to see Joey Champness running at his fullback.
And also think New Zealand very comfortable. We saw this against Bahrain. Very comfortable against sides that drop off. So Bahrain dropped off, and it allowed Joe Bell just to pick up the ball off the back, the two centre backs, turn and just splay balls to all corners of the ground. And I think New Zealand, you know, they're very comfortable on the ball, and the ability just to build up through the thirds in this way makes them look a very good team.
Here's a chance for Champness. Breaks down for New Zealand, and the Gambia should have a chance to clear. Well, they would have if that errant pass hadn't found its way through to Just.
Good press from Sarpreet Singh that time. He saw that New Zealand were going to lose the ball, just got in there and just affected the opposition. New Zealand quickly win the ball back, but yeah, just concede the free kick.
Joe Bell, as per usual, involved in the midfield exchanges nice and early. The key for New Zealand is trying to get the likes of Sarpreet Singh and Marko Stamanic on the ball, facing forward. Danny Hay's been pretty open in his tactics in that way. Some real competition for places in this New Zealand squad now, and the guys pre-game talked about those who aren't here, the players from the A-League, the likes of Costa Barbarouses, Ollie Sale, Tim Payne, Marco Rojas, Clayton Lewis, all watching on, no doubt, from back home in New Zealand, wondering when their chance might come to pull on the New Zealand shirt again. There's a chance now with Stamanic, freeing up Joey Champness. First time ball across the area, and didn't find its way through to Chris Wood. There was the opportunity for Stamanic and Singh to be facing towards the Gambian goal, and Champness unable to find Wood with the cross.
Oh, beautiful move there from the All Whites. Just straight through the heart of the Gambian side. Ball into Singh, one touch, lay off Stamanic, Joey Champness in behind, and I think he could have shot there. Could have gone driven in on goal and had a go.
Bell with the ball aimed for Stamanic, who'd made a run from deep. Applauds the intent from Joe Bell. Joey Champness, of course, spent 3 seasons in the A-League, couple of seasons with the Newcastle Jets, 1 campaign with the Brisbane Roar, 60 games, 10 goals for Joey Champness and 11, bottom of screen. Playing his football these days in Turkey, but not quite getting the opportunities that coach Danny Hay was hoping that he might. That's the other thing about these players, is they need to be playing regularly at club level. Most of them are, but there's a couple of notable exceptions, and here's one here, Nando Painica, who's currently with Helsingør, where Callum McCowd and Eli Just both are, but Painica's hardly getting a look in the first team there. He played every game at the Olympics, 90 minutes against Curaçao and Bahrain, so all his football recently has been in a New Zealand shirt rather than a club shirt. He's on the books of Rio Ave in Portugal. Couldn't get time there, so Helsingør is where he is now on loan. Hopefully some more minutes to come for Nando Painica. Left-sided centre-backs don't come along very often. Bell into Singh, quick feet. Stamanic, Singh again, lovely. Here's Champness, across goal and again cut out. It's there again though for Sarpreet Singh. Can he line a shot up? He does. Great save by Gaia. Really good movement from New Zealand. And at the end of it, the swerving shot from Singh, touched wide by Gaia.
Yeah, and again, we see the end of this move, but the move through the midfield again, the ball just carving up this Gambia midfield. Just, they have no answer at the moment. The combination Singh, Stamanic, Champness is just working really well for New Zealand. But again, we talk about it, it's that final touch. They have to convert. These are really good opportunities for New Zealand. They need to convert them.
Can they do it from this latest corner, which Bell is lining up? This one's a bit deeper, over the top of everybody. I don't think anybody got a hand on that, did they? Maybe a fingernail from the goalkeeper. That's what the referee saw, so it'll be another corner. But uncertain from Babaku Gaye in goal that time. Just a little touch on it there. They've all stayed forward for New Zealand's fourth corner. Singh to take. This is another deep one. Back across goal, and the shot comes in from Reid. Well, a left-footed volley from Winston Reid. You don't see that very often. Looping towards Gaye and untroubled the Gambian keeper. But again, it's New Zealand with some good attacking intent at set-piece time. Champness pressing high to try and put pressure on the Gambian rear guard. Now a chance for the African side, and this is the excitement machine, Musa Barrow. But it all came to a rather meek end for Barrow. We saw him in his highlights reel pre-game. I thought he might cut and have a shot there. Seems to be his modus operandi. Not on that occasion, just with Kakachi outside. First chance for Libby Kakachi to contribute in the attacking third, and we know how much he loves to do that. Champness. Champness again. Now, will we see the step overs he's become renowned for? Early cross, once again cut out. So the crosses from the right-hand side for Champness not quite finding their mark, with Chris Wood waiting behind that first defender. It hasn't found its way through to him yet. Once again, New Zealand working hard to win the ball back when they don't have it. Singh. Just that final pass at the moment, Fred, not quite finding its mark.
Yeah, the build-up play's been very good, you know, and New Zealand not under any sort of pressure from Gambia. But as you say, they're doing well, especially down the right flank. A lot of the play's been coming down through Joey Champness. That combination, Champness and Stamenic, is very good, and Sarpreet Singh has been popping up in that area as well. So again, the final pass, the final delivery, and it would be nice to see Sarpreet get on the ball about 30 metres out and then try look as we saw against Bahrain, slipping those little diagonal balls into Chris Wood, and you know, because those are really good opportunities for the All Whites.
There are some nice combinations building up and down both flanks. Kakachi, Singh, and Just down the left. Kerwin, Stamenic, Champness down the right. Time together has been valuable for New Zealand. Here is Musa Barrow again. Will he cut in on the right foot this time? He will. He's going to let one go. I think he does. Straight at Marinovic. Well, that's the strike from outside the area we saw pre-game from Musa Barrow. A couple of them flew into the top corner. That one was straight at Marinovic.
Yeah, good cover from Stamenic there as well. Coming across, helping out Kerwin. Possibly could have got closer there to close the shot down. But you can see New Zealand, they've obviously seen that, and they know what Barrow's going to do, because he's, as we've seen from his highlights, he's pretty good at it.
Stefan Marinovic playing his football in Israel right now for Nof Hagalil. 9 games into their season, 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses. He plays every week. 4 clean sheets so far for his new club side, Stefan Marinovic. Offside flag up against Eli Just. Once again, the diagonal pass from Bell, and Eli just got the wrong side of the last defender. New Zealand have it back, though. Just gets away from his defender, tries to beat a second who was there to mop up, but again it'll be a corner for New Zealand. Well, Danny Hay will be pleased with a few things in the first 19 minutes of this one. He'd love a goal. Coaching staff there, familiar face of Rory Fallon, front and centre, Darren Baisley there, Jonathan Gould looking after the goalkeepers. Bell to deliver again. Again, it's deep, and this one's back across and off the line. It was almost Nando Painika's first goal for New Zealand. And the follow-up from Just goes wide. Well, Nando Painika climbed highest at the far post, back across goal, defeating the keeper, man on the line, keeping the sheet clean for the Africans.
And the keeper not looking to secure under the cross as well. Sees in no man's land there. Painika heads it back across and probably would have missed, but unless Winston Reid had got his head in there as well. But Boubacar Gaye just not comfortable at all from the delivery from the corners and free kicks at the moment.
And that would have caught the eye of the coaching staff and no doubt the players as well, who will continue to put pressure on, I'm sure. Singh tries to slide Wood in, can't. Good defending from James Gomez. He's still got a bit of work to do and finally does get the job done. The young centre-back turned 20 on Sunday, plays in Denmark in the same league as Helsingor and Eli Just there, so he's probably had a bit of a look at Eli Just at club level. Just a fourth cap tonight for Boubacar Gaye, the 23-year-old goalkeeper. New Zealand are winning a lot of battles across the pitch. Aerial, on the ground and midfield. Danny Hay, as I say, will be satisfied with the territorial dominance and the possession his side has had, but without wanting to labour the point, you've got to turn that dominance into goals.
Exactly. But it is so nice to see a New Zealand team, as we've seen in previous games, dominate the ball. It's just, you know, there's so many players now in the All Whites team, in the All Whites squad, are comfortable in possession. They want the ball. You know, the likes of Joe Bell, Sarpreet Singh, Marco Stamanic, and even, you know, Nando Painika is a centre-back, Winston Reid. They want the ball now. You know, and so it's so good to see that New Zealand can just slowly build the play up rather than having to, you know, go long as we have in years gone by. But yeah, just it is really a really promising group of players at the moment.
And we talk about those who aren't there watching back at home, and you can just imagine Costa Barbarouses licking his lips and wanting to be a part of all of this.
Ryan Thomas, yep, another one coming out of Holland.
Watch out!
You know, I think if you look at this all-white squad and then you transpose this squad into a game like Peru, and you go, okay, that's going to be a very different proposition in an intercontinental playoff. If New Zealand make it that far, that would be, you know, those games are going to be very different to what we saw, you know, Peru, Mexico. This side has the ability to take the game to those teams.
Reid steps forward into the middle third again, and a rare misstep from Winston Reid gives it up to the Gambia, who break now. Barrow. Tidied up eventually by the New Zealand defence, but the Scorpions will come again. Ibrahima Darboe wanted to get on the ball in midfield. This is Toure, left-sided defender. His delivery no good, and Winston Reid just holding the bottom of his ankle there. I hope it's just a boot come off. Bell looks to slide Wood in. Chris Wood just not quite getting the service he would have hoped for. guess what you hope is that the frustration without a goal won't grow and New Zealand will stick to their principles, stick to their tactical approach and not try to play million-dollar balls. Not saying that was one from Bell, but been playing so well with the clever little interchange of passes. Now, I wonder whether this might be a bit more serious for Winston Reid as the camera pans across. We're going to find, unfortunately we are, and Winston Reid is just going to get a bit of medical attention here. Hasn't played, of course, since the Tokyo Olympics. Unattached at the moment. Maybe just wants a bit more support around that right ankle. Bit of electrician's tape there, always does the job. Bit of magic spray.
Hopefully he's just trying to hold his shin pads up and there is no medical issue there.
He doesn't seem to be moving with any discomfort.
No.
A-League starts this weekend. We're proud to bring it to you here on Sky Sport. Melbourne City and Brisbane Roar kick us off Friday night. And the Wellington Phoenix's first assignment, a Sunday evening match against Macarthur. They're calling it the Davila Derby, with Ulysses Davila now wearing the colours of Macarthur and the Wellington Phoenix women. An exciting innovation for the women's game in this country. Their first game is December the 3rd. We'll have that for you on Sky Sport, as well as the Football Ferns in action against South Korea, the first of two internationals on the night of Saturday, November 27. Once again, we'll have it for you. The second international is the following Tuesday. A feast of football coming up internationally and in the A-League here on Sky Sport. We're delighted to have the opportunity to bring it all to you.
Yeah, so looking forward to the A-League starting up again, and also the A-League women's competition as well with a Phoenix team in there. Should be fantastic season for the women's game in New Zealand.
Peinica looking for just. Getting cut out by the Gambian defence, but Bell wins it back, as tends to be his regular occurrence. Gambia, though, will break. New Zealand back in numbers, and there's Joe Bell. Just the box-to-box nature of the way that he plays the game. One moment he's setting things up in the attacking third, then he's tracking back over 30 or 40 metres to break up a would-be attack. Will be a corner, though, for the Scorpions. It's Elliot Collier there doing the high knees. Just caught a glimpse there of Francis de Vries as well, who could be in line for a full international debut. Played the other night against Algeria A, but if he does make it onto the pitch tonight, that would be a full international debut for the former Canterbury United player. Yusufa Bob lining up in the corner, just brief halt in proceedings as the referee wants to have a quick chat to Nico Kerwin and also James Gomez, who's come forward from the back to add his height to the set piece. There's Barrow. Barrow lines up the shot. Radar off from Musa Barrow, but it always seemed likely that he'd have a ping from distance.
Barrow again just drops his left shoulder, moves the ball onto his right foot and lets fly. Something that Stefan Marinovic has to be aware of. But just at the moment, it seems that New Zealand are losing a little bit of patience in the final third of the field, trying to push that final pass, and it's just allowing the Gambia just to break up the play, and the continuity we saw in the first 10 or 15 minutes just not there at the moment for the All Whites.
I think a goal would certainly settle their nerves. Lovely from Singh, chest control, looks up and sees just, can't find him. He's in a tight area, Sarpreet Singh, but able to get out of it. See Singh just trying to find a pocket of space in between the lines there. This ball from Reid, Champness with Kerwin outside. How's the delivery this time from Kerwin? Can't beat the first man. Playing in the Serie C competition in Italy for Padova, Nico Kerwin.
Just at the moment, I think the passing, the movement of the ball in the back three there of Painako Reid and Joe Bell, it's just that little bit slower than it was. And we saw Sarpreet Singh pick up a really good position just previously, and the ball's not getting to him. And whereas in the first 10 or 15 minutes, he was getting into Singh, laid off to Stamanic, wide to Joey Champness. That little quick interplay is not happening at the moment, and that's allowing Gambia just to move around, get their defensive shape better, and everything's in front of their block. And so it's making it way more difficult for New Zealand to look to get that penetration.
Another chance now, though, for Singh to put pressure on Gaye in the Gambian goal. Nice and close to him. Eli Justice going to scamper across and look to recycle. Lets it run out for a New Zealand throw. Once again, you can see Stamanic and Singh just trying to find those pockets of space. Just not quite coming off for them at the moment. This might now with Singh looking for Wood again. That final ball just not finding its way through to New Zealand's talisman up front. A couple of milestones coming up for Chris Wood as well in Burnley colours. His next goal will be his 50th Premier League goal, and he's just too short of 150 Premier League games as well. What a player he's been for the Clarets. Double-figure goals in the last 4 seasons, 2 and 11 so far this season. Champness. Is that a foul? Referee says no. Champness was looking for it from Ibu Toure.
See, I think in those instances, Nico Kerwin should just hold back. Just give the ball to Champness and let him go at the defender. As Kerwin comes in around the back, he's just dragging in another defender into the mix. So we've seen against Bahrain, Joey Champness, the ability to take his player on, and we haven't seen any of that today. And I think just for the All Whites, just give him the ball and let him do his thing out on the right flank.
Gambia haven't really been able to string too much together in the way of flowing passing moves. It has been mainly New Zealand trying to create things in the first 31 minutes of this one. Still without reward. Lovely turn from Singh, draws the foul. They continue to look for a way to unpick the lock. Big year coming up next year for the All Whites. They're looking at a couple of games in the January window leading into World Cup qualifying in March. We don't have the confirmed structure of that tournament yet, but we understand it'll be a couple of weeks in this part of the world for the Oceania segment of World Cup qualifying. If New Zealand can emerge victorious from that, then an intercontinental playoff awaits, home and away against as yet undetermined opponent. We haven't even been told yet which confederation that team will come from. Could be Asia, could be CONCACAF, could be South America. Bell again in the thick of things, winning possession back, but then just losing control of it.
Yeah, COVID's just pushed all the timelines out for World Cup qualification, and all these draws, like the Intercontinental playoff draw, normally is done like 2 years out. And here we are within a year of the World Cup. We still don't know, as you say, Piney, which confederation that Oceania will play in the Intercontinental playoff.
Danny Hay and his coaching staff keeping a close eye on all 3 confederations and who might potentially be an opponent. I mean, there are so many. with those qualification tournaments ongoing as well, and teams trying to gain automatic qualification or avoid those intercontinental playoff spots. One possibility, of course, is Australia, the Socceroos, who at this very moment are playing a qualifier against the People's Republic of China. What an intercontinental playoff that would be.
It would be amazing. They just, as you say, they're looking at all these teams. I remember for the Mexico game at New Zealand football, we had 3 sets of flights booked right up until the last fortnight.
Stamanic fouled. Free kick is taken quickly. We'll get back to live action in just a second.
Just all those different permutations just carry on and carry on right up until the final, normally the final day of playoff action across those other confederations.
Chance now for Singh. Behind for another corner for New Zealand, so they continue to build pressure. 10 minutes until the break. Sarpreet Singh with a puff out of the cheeks in frustration there, but he has won another corner. Once again, the tall timber from the back will assemble. Tom Saintfiet, the Gambian coach, with a bit of thinking to do. He'll be pleased about the clean sheet, but I'm sure he'd like a bit more in terms of possession and territory for his side. Heineke came close last time. Bell's delivery again is key. Towards the keeper, and Chris Wood not able to get a head on it, but they'll head over the other side for yet another set-piece situation.
Yeah, 35 minutes gone, and Chris Wood has hardly had a touch of the ball, and I think that's that's a damning statistic for the All Whites at the moment. Just not getting the ball into their key striker in key positions.
Singh. Once again, defended well. Bell puts it back in and flicks it in by Wood. Well, Chris Wood, we said he's hardly had a touch. He's had one now, a little back heel, and then it's gone. The Gambians complain. They want an offside flag. No VAR available here. And Chris Wood has another international goal for New Zealand.
Well, he has to touch the ball once, and it's in the back of the net. You can see there, clearly onside. And Chris Wood just with a deft little back heel. Gambia too slow getting out, and Chris Wood just sitting there. Nice little touch, and New Zealand deserved lead for all the pressure that they've put this Gambia side under.
Chris Wood's 26th goal for New Zealand, now within 3 of Vaughan Coveney's all-time New Zealand record. And we've just been saying he hadn't had too many opportunities, not too many touches. As you say, Fred, just needed the one, and a clever one it was too.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've seen it time and time again. We saw it against Bahrain. Give them an opportunity to score the goal. So it's up to the other players to give them the ball. And you know, New Zealand have looked dangerous from set plays from the opening, from the outset of this game. Bubukai Gai is not comfortable under a cross, doesn't come and collect the ball, and that's an area that New Zealand can and have just capitalised on.
Loves scoring goals, as all strikers do. Chris Wood debuted for New Zealand against another African side, Tanzania, all the way back in 2009 as a 17-year-old, and has grown into a top quality international striker. Again, he delivers for New Zealand, and Danny Hay will be a lot happier now with a goal on the board to reward the possession and territory that New Zealand have enjoyed in this first 38 minutes. Barrow looking to bite back immediately. That's a really robust play from Marko Stamanic. We know he's got finesse, but also he has the physical qualities that make him a really complete midfielder. He's only 19 years old, but big things predicted for Marko Stamanic. Singer drifted into an offside position, so that attack wouldn't have gone any further. Assistant referee on this near side, though, doing a good job. The Gambians were appealing for offside against Wood, but as we saw on the replay, clearly onside, with Dembo Darbo in 24 keeping Chris Wood onside. Joe Bell's ball back into the area. Not sure whether Winston Reid will call it a dummy or a little flick. He'll probably say afterwards he got a little touch towards Wood. He might claim the assist. Just as a willing chaser here and putting pressure on, and eventually it is off. Eli Just, is it? He thinks it's his throw. I think he did get the last touch. So New Zealand looking for a third straight win in full internationals for the first time since 2016. OFC Nations Cup played in Port Moresby that year, where they won 4 games in a row and then won the final on penalties. They actually won the previous international against Oman as well, so it was a 5-game winning streak, 6 if you count the final. Danny Hayes' side is starting to build a nice little run of results. Curaçao, Bahrain are now 1-0 up against the Gambia. Just for context, Gambia are currently 147th in the world in terms of the FIFA rankings. New Zealand 111th, but Curaçao were 81st and Bahrain 91st. So once you get up above about 30, it's all much of a muchness, really, isn't it?
Yeah, the rankings are not the truest indication of the true strength of a lot of nations around the world, because it's a big factor in how many games you do play. New Zealand's true ranking is probably around the 190 mark, something like that.
And they come again looking to score a second in quick succession. Stamanic is dispossessed. Clever from Bob there as he bobbed and weaved away. Barrow's dropped deep to try and get some real estate to run into Musa Barrow. Still there this time for Ibrahima Darbo. Barrow picks up the scraps. You can see the class that he has from his time in Serie A. Heineke was just leaning sideways there, and the ball struck a part of his body close to his arm, but seemed to be nice and tight into his body, so no chance of a penalty. It will be another corner, though, for the Gambia, which Abli Jallow has gone across to address. Headed towards goal, and Marinovic again called into action. That was Omar Colley, the centre-back. Good connection on the corner from Jallow, and Marinovic well positioned to keep it out.
And that's the best chance for Gambia so far. Painaka not close enough to Omar Colley, and free header in on goal. That's a good opportunity. And a defender with his aerial ability would probably be thinking he could do better in that situation. But now we'll see straight away, we've seen Gambia try and be a little bit more adventurous since the goal. And, New Zealand obviously have to match that and better, but that's lovely from Singh. That's
Singh.
Beautiful.
Tug on the shirt, surely. Yeah. Could be a yellow card coming here for Yusufa Bob for the tug on the shirt of Sarpreet Singh, but lovely close control.
Yeah, wonderful from Sarpreet Singh. Just the balance that he's got. See here, goes nutmeg in there, pull of the shirt, and then, yes, the pass didn't connect to Joey Champness, but again, he's always looking for that slip pass, that killer pass through the heart of, or through a defensive lineup, just allowing players to run in behind.
Technically one of the best players to come out of New Zealand in recent times. He's going to line up this free kick as well. It's drilled in. That's off the head of Colley and behind for yet another corner. Plenty of set pieces for Joe Bell and Sarpreet Singh to address in this first half. A couple of minutes to go plus stoppages. Can't imagine there'll be too many. There was the brief stoppage for Winston Reid to get some tape on his socks. Other than that, not a lot. Now, Sarpreet Singh's gone across, so this is a change in tactic late in the first half with an outswinger now for Sarpreet Singh. They perhaps think they'll get more change that way, swinging it away from Gaiyak. Here is Singh, and he does just that. Far post is Reid, back into a crowded penalty area, bouncing around, headed by Wood towards goal, and he drifted offside. looking for a brace, Chris Wood, but was wayward anyway and wouldn't have counted with the assistant referee picking him up in an offside position.
But again, Gambia not dealing with the corner, allowing, second phase ball to drop in the box. And again, New Zealand, every time they have a set piece, they're looking dangerous. You've got some very tall players in the side now. Winston Reid, Nando Painaka as well. Chris Woods, not short. Joey Champness, decent height as well. So some very good aerial ability in this all-white team.
Into the final minute here in Dubai, as Chris Wood knew he was in an offside position. Let that one roll through. Chris Wood's goal separates the two sides as we head towards the break. Stefan Marinovic called into action just a couple of times in this first half, most recently and probably most notably Omar Colley's header from a corner a few moments ago. Otherwise, he's been relatively untroubled. The Scorpions looking to bite late in the first half. Lovely little touch there towards Barrow, who was on rushing. Painaka having none of it. Fourth official tells us there'll just be the extra minute added, or a minimum of. Gambia will look to take advantage of that extra minute. Jallo. Janko. A chance late in the half, perhaps. Rebounds off Joe Bell, who did some really good work there to halt the progress of Ibrahima Darboe. And the rebound was kind for Stefan Marinovic.
I think we talked about this little run that the All Whites have started now. Fourth game that they're looking to win. And I think what that's doing is it's just raising expectation, certainly raising expectation in the group, but also outside of the All White squad. We're expecting them to win these games now. And, historically that probably hasn't been the case. And that's such a good position for this All White team to be in.
They're in a good position at half-time as referee Saleh blows the whistle. They head to the break, and New Zealand have dominated in terms of possession and territory and have a goal for their troubles as well. Chris Wood with another strike for New Zealand, putting New Zealand ahead in the 37th minute. Half-time here in Dubai, and the All Whites lead the Gambia by a goal to nil.
The All Whites thoroughly deserving of that half-time lead in Dubai. Jacob Spoonley, Ivan Visilic, former All Whites, have been watching this one. Guys, a dominant performance by the All Whites. It almost seems like men versus boys at times, Jacob.
It does, and I think there's a tension here between acknowledging the good play that the All Whites have done. The build-up play has been great. We're dominating Gambia. But unfortunately, we're still talking about this lack of output from the All Whites. They're only 1-0 up at half-time. Gambia have adjusted, and now they're posing a new challenge for the All Whites to solve. And I don't think we've got those solutions just yet.
I agree. Look, it's great to be 1-0 up at half-time, but you can see the frustration seeping in a little bit to the players, because I think they also probably believe that they should be up by more goals. I mean, we've seen the chances and we haven't converted them, but, the positive side is we're up 1-0, but we need to be better, I think.
It's the halftime show. Up next here on Sky Sport, our coverage of the All Whites versus the Gambia continues. We'll take a look at all of the first half action in a moment here on Sky. Great to have your company, nice and early on a Wednesday morning. We are currently watching the All Whites up against the Gambia. Myself, Jacob Spoonley and Ivan Visilic watching this one. And how did it get underway? Well, to a goal with Chris Wood. He didn't really have much to do in this first half, Jacob Spoonley, but when he was required, he certainly stepped up and he was found.
Well, we've had our fair chance at set pieces. We've had both free kicks and corners. And in a game when you're getting frustrated, sometimes the answer is to be good at set pieces. And we see there Chris Wood perhaps opportunistic at that back post, but this really was an indication of the pressure that the All Whites are putting Gambia under. And to be fair, they should have scored more goals before Chris Wood put that ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, they've looked very dangerous at set pieces in New Zealand, so it's great to get that goal. I mean, we've had chances at the back post, and in-swing and out-swinging corners have been very good, so it's good to capitalise on it.
Well, let's talk about some of those opportunities because, yes, there were plenty, as there always are for this All-White side, but it's the conversion rate which is a little bit worrying. And again, we see it today, Jacob.
Yeah, in that first 15, 20 minutes, I counted about 9 chances for the All Whites. They were playing really well. The likes of Stamanic and Singh, there's a great combination in that midfield. They were building up centrally, and then in particular, they were getting down that right-hand side, and Joey Champness was getting in behind, showing a good understanding, particularly off the likes of Singh, who was feeding them quite a bit. And the All Whites, 9 chances in that first 20-odd minutes. You've really got to look at it and say, we need to put those goals away because it's a different conversation that we'll be having now at half-time. As we said at the top of the show, need to convert those because we've got World Cup qualifying come up, and that congested structure of the tournament will mean that we need to put teams away early.
Absolutely. I think then you'll see the team more comfortable if they're up 2 or 3-0. And, you know, those movements from Champions was good. I think the ball into the box is decent, but the defending in those couple of times was very good by the Gambian centre-back there to sort of stop Chris Wood getting that to his feet.
And I think, to be fair, we've got to acknowledge the adjustment that Gambia made. They were playing a 4-3-3, but they've just dropped off to a 4-5-1. They're going to block those passing lanes, particularly into midfield. They're going 3-on-3, man for man with Bell, Singh and Stamanic. So Bob in particular is causing all sorts of chaos. A lot of fouls. You'd like to see the referee start getting the yellow card out a bit more. That said, though, we've got to elevate our game, and we've been presented with a problem now that we haven't seen. A team's dropping off, showing a lot of respect to this all-white side. How do they then unlock Gambia to get those goals that we so desperately want to get?
Yeah, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a block in defence from Gambia. I guess the key now for New Zealand is to move that ball across the back a bit quicker so those pockets of space open up in the attacking third, and then we can punch a ball in there. You know, at the moment, it's a little bit slower, so it's difficult to find those areas, and we're trying a few times with the long balls, which is, you know, going down and helping the big centre-backs to clear that ball.
Ivan, if the finishing has been a little bit lacking for the All Whites, something that hasn't been is the interplay between Stamanic and Sarpreet Singh. Their midfield play has been sublime at times.
Yeah, we saw a few times definitely coming down the right, that one-touch football. So when it gets punched into the pocket, laid off first time, and then a runner in behind, ball played through. So, you know, we've seen that they can do it. We just need to try and find that more often.
And we've seen the build-up play from the back, particularly when the ball's around halfway. So it's not particularly advanced. Pinnaker and Reid are finding Singh in those pockets. He's dropping it off to Stamanic, and then we're feeding in Champness. And that's been really dangerous down that right-hand side. So between the boxes, the All Whites are playing really, really well. When we get into that final third, there needs to be that adjustment. We need to see that recalibration because, again, that final ball in just isn't quite dangerous enough.
We haven't seen Winston Reid since the Tokyo Olympics. Ivan Visilic, your thoughts on his first 45 minutes back in the international scene?
Yeah, look, it's incredible. I mean, a lot of people talk about you have to play well at your club level to then play international. He's not playing at club level and he's performing at a great level again. And here we see, you know, he had that volley, a chance now driving forward, trying to create the play, which is great. And, you know, he's looking for those passes. So,
what do you want to see from him in this situation here, Ivan?
Yeah, look, here's where he goes forward and makes a combo wide to get Champness in, which is great. I think he's doing really well there. He saw the space in front of it to create it. Here we can see he's looking for that switch ball again, so the vision is very good. There's a couple of opportunities, for example, here we can see Sarpreet Singh potentially could make that run in behind.
I think it's interesting. You can see Winston driving into that pocket. There's a lot of bodies, particularly from Gambia there. And we saw Singh make a run off Chris Wood. And at times you see Winston, he's almost trying to play the killer pass from 30 yards away. I think we need to get that rotation going where Singh starts high, rotates under, and then looks to get the ball off read. It's been dangerous. We just need to see it more regularly at this point.
Yeah, how do we get Chris Wood in the game more often? Yeah, we see him, he pops up for the goal, and that's great, but we know the quality that he possesses. How do we get him on the ball more often, Ivan, in the second half?
Look, I think we're seeing a game from Chris Wood, which is normal for him. I mean, he doesn't always get involved all the time in the game, whether it's at club level or international. We spoke about it last month in October in the games as well. He wasn't touching the ball so much as we expect him to. But the reality is he needs to be in that box when he needs to be there for the crosses coming in. And that's what he was again, in the right place at the right time to get the goal.
It's 1-0, All Whites over the Gambia. We come back with second half action, expertly called by Jason Pine and Fred de Jong in a moment right here on Sky Sports. Stay with us. Chris Wood's 26th goal for the All Whites has the All Whites up 1-0 at half-time against the Gambia. Jacob Spoonley, Ivan Visilic, former All Whites, in watching this one. In the second half, gentlemen, Jacob, start with you. What do we actually want to see from this All Whites side in the next 45 minutes?
Patience for me. We don't want the likes of Chris Wood and Sarpreet Singh getting frustrated and dropping deep into an already congested midfield. We want to stretch Gambia. If we start compacting the space, that's going to do Gambia a favour. We want to stretch them. We want to give the likes of Bell and Stamanic the chance to play and keep creating those chances that we saw in the first half.
Yeah, we also want to see goals. I mean, I think, you know, from the outset, I think if we had
That's the simple answer, Jacob.
Yeah, look, from the outset, if we got an early goal in that first half, I think we would have had 2 or 3. So we've got one now. I think we could, you know, we could potentially get another 2 or 3 this half. I mean, the standard of Gambia has been disappointed, and they haven't been at what we thought they could be. You know, that's also because we've been decent. So, you know, hopefully we can get some goals and share those goals around.
1-0 to the All Whites over the Gambia. Could it be more? Stay tuned to find out as we hand you back to our commentary team of Fred de Jong and Jason Pine.
Final checks from the officials at the start of the second half. It looks as though the Gambia are making a change at half-time. We saw number 16, Mohamed Mbai, getting himself ready. Currently unattached. There it is, the confirmation. He'll replace Ibrahima Dabo. So Mbai, the 32-year-old, on for his 11th international appearance, happily. Winston Reid is still out there. We were told that perhaps he might be a 45-minute proposition tonight. Good to see that he'll continue into the second half. Michael Boxall waits in the wings for his opportunity as New Zealand kick off the second half. They lead by Chris Wood's 37th minute goal as they look for a first win over African opposition for quite some time. You've got to go all the way back to 1983 to find a New Zealand win over an African side. A 2-0 win over Ghana with goals to Ricky Herbert and Grant Turner. Seems an awfully long time ago. Let's hope New Zealand can build on this 1-0 half-time advantage and perhaps capitalise on the possession and territory they've managed to fashion a little bit more effectively with some goal-bound efforts and a couple more in the back of the net. The half-time theme from the expert panel was fairly consistent with, well, I guess, what we saw in the first half, Fred, in terms of chance creation, but unfortunately not chance conversion.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that would have been the message from Danny Hay at half-time in the sheds. Just, you know, finishing is just letting us down a little bit, getting good opportunities, and I think in the second half it'll be good to see.
Stand by, Fred, as the Gambians fashion an attack early in the second half. Not too much for Stefan Marinovic to do in the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, and I think it'd be good to see the All Whites just increase the tempo in their build-up play. And I think sometimes going across the back four, it's a bit laboured. And then if they can speed that tempo up and then get the ball into the likes of Singh, Stamanic, Joe Bell quicker, then I think you know, it gives the Gambia side a lot less time to react to their ball movement.
Here's a chance, though, for them with Janko looking to get the cross in. Can't beat the first man. Sadie Janko. Interesting player, Janko, as he gives it up. Spent time with Manchester United and Celtic. Played youth football for Switzerland before shifting allegiance to the Gambia. Currently playing in the second tier in Spain. Noah Sonko Sundberg with the throw. Didn't see a lot of him in the first half, up and down the Gambia's right. Does possess a relatively long throw, though, by the looks of things. New Zealand should be able to get this one out okay. Clever play between Stamanic and Singh. Sprinting across, though, Jallo. Chance for Champness early in the second half to show what he's got. Love to see Joey Champness run at these defenders a bit more in this second half. We saw him do it in his debut against Bahrain a month ago. Those quick feet, step overs, the close control.
Yeah, I think New Zealand just need to get more out of Champness, more out of Eli Just. Just been just pretty innocuous in that first half, both of them in an attacking sense. Champness more so, a couple of crosses, but again, unable to find their mark. So it'd be good to see Champness and Eli Just getting on the ball more, and especially for Just, his combination, I think, with Sarpreet Singh and Chris Wood is important to his game. He's not an out-and-out winger. He likes to combine to create his opportunities, and I think getting him on the ball and then in and around Sarpreet and Chris Wood is important for his game.
Danny Hay, no doubt, will look to use his bench a bit later in the game. Good tackle in the middle of the park by Marko Stamenic. Chance for a mini break here, and here is Eli Just. The first touch just letting him down and allowing James Gomez to get a foot in, but Marko Stamenic again impressive in midfield with a robust challenge, followed by a nice little through ball for Just.
And Chris Wood asking the question of the referee. It was upended in back play as that ball got played into Elijah Just.
Yet another corner for New Zealand, well up into double figures now in terms of corners won. Gone back to Joe Bell from the left-hand side to swing this in towards Guyet. The delivery's good, and again the keeper comes and doesn't get, and Pinnaker with a chance, but heads wide of goal. Over the top of goalkeeper Babakar Guyet again. Gee, he's like Dracula on these crosses, and Pinnaker unable to capitalise.
Boys flapping around the goalkeeper. And Nindo Pinnaker, difficult because he thinks the keeper's going to get a touch or something on it, and it just appears, and he's just headed it past the post. You can see here the keeper comes, and he's nowhere near that ball. Just really poor goalkeeping, and that's why New Zealand look dangerous at every set-piece opportunity that they get.
No men on the posts either for the Gambia. That seems to have gone out of fashion now, having your defenders on the posts. Wonder whether Gaia needs all the help he can get at the moment from those set pieces. Danny Hay wanting to get things going. Following this, he'll take a trip up to Scandinavia, catch up with Joe Bell at Viking. Also take in the game between Helsingør and Koge, which will feature Just, McCowart and Pinnaker up against Stamenic. So that's a bit of a mini Kiwi derby there. He's going to spend some time in Sweden catching up with Declan Edge. And then back to the UAE and a ticket home before Christmas. He's managed to secure a spot on MIQ, which can't be said for everybody. So Danny Hay will be home for Christmas. I get the feeling a couple of his coaching staff might have to stay put. I think some of the others weren't quite as fortunate.
Yeah, it makes it so difficult, doesn't it, the whole MIQ system for teams and individual sports people and anyone, actually, who wants to come back to New Zealand. Hopefully the sooner we can get rid of that, the better.
Didn't see a lot of Libby Kakachi really getting forward in the first half to support Eli Just. You know what an attacking weapon he can be. On the books, of course, of St. Troiden these days in Belgium. They're battling away in the Jupiler League currently. Kakachi getting plenty of game time for his Belgian side. New Zealand back in numbers to repel this latest threat. Jallo and Bob in midfield seem to be the creative forces. Chance now for Janko. Into Barrow. Back it goes. Darbo. And Darbo had straight offside. Bit more intent from the Scorpions early in this second stanza. Bottom of screen, coach Tom Saintfiet will be a little bit more satisfied. Makes a point to his substitutes and coaching staff.
Yeah, but still the threat from Gambia is still it sits in front of the New Zealand back four, and so they're looking very, very comfortable in repelling that threat. I think Gambia, they're very individualistic at the moment. They're looking for some of the likes of Barrow and Darbo maybe to just do something out of the ordinary to create an opportunity for their side.
Well, here is Musa Barrow, the aforementioned, and it goes looking for a return pass, but again it's rather sloppy. Wood comes to get it, and Kakachi has to try and tidy up. Bell is there inevitably. Some clever flicks from Stamenic, and now Reid will stride forward again. Nice ball into Singh, who couldn't quite control. Calls for a free kick for the Scorpions, not heeded by referee Salah. Bell on the ball, looking for those options, looking for Singh perhaps into that pocket of space. Wasn't there. See Joe Bell just shuttling across in between the lines. Now he finds Singh facing forward. Much better from New Zealand. Forward into the pass of Chris Wood, but out comes Gaia. That's the way that you want to play if you're Danny Hayes' side. Bell into Singh, facing forward. The quick ball, as you mentioned in the first half, Fred, into the path of Chris Wood, just a bit too much on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Much better from the All Whites there. It took two goes at it, and that you saw it there. Joe Bell got the ball, turned, looked ahead, nothing on, played square again, got it back a second time, and then the run from Sarpreet Singh and the timing of the pass was exactly what they were looking for.
The Gambia again, Sonko Sundberg. Good play from the right wing back, and can't get his cross in, but it's still there for the Gambia. Another save with the legs of Marinovic, this time from Elbley Yellow. And flag eventually up. Stefan Marinovic has some words with the assistant referee, replaces a divot, which is good etiquette.
Yeah, good opportunity for Gambia here. Good strike on goal just outside the 6-yard box. So nervous moments that time, and I think it was because Libby Kikache had pushed forward and Eli Just was back defending. And the strike from Jello coming in, and Stefan Marinovic, who's had very, very little to do, equal to the task.
Still there for the Gambia. Can they fashion something, or can New Zealand defend? Bodies go down in the penalty area. A couple down for New Zealand as they're still under the cosh a little bit here. Still there for Yusufa Bob. Across goal, and wide she goes. Well, the Gambia are putting some pressure on New Zealand in these last few minutes. Stefan Marinovic, as you say, Fred, has had very little to do, but his goal's been under a bit of threat in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, Marinovic just slowing things down there, taking a sip of water. 2 strikes on the New Zealand goal in quick succession. That one, Marinovic just watched it go harmlessly past the post, but looks like Winston Reid's night is done.
Yep, he's got through 56 minutes. He'll be pleased about that, Winston Reid, and not a bad replacement to have coming on with Michael Boxall on for his 36th international appearance. The 33-year-old still supremely fit, 10 years in the All Whites now since debuting against China back in 2011. And some football still to play at club level as well for Michael Boxall, his Minnesota United team, into the MLS playoffs. They play the Portland Timbers on Monday. Bill Tuiloma is part of the Timbers side, although he's injured at the moment. That's why he's not here. But Boxall will have the best part of 35 minutes or so at the back to get some game time in his legs. Not quite coming together cohesion-wise for New Zealand in the second half just yet. The industry and the effort is certainly there, and Bell is a great personification of that, but just not quite able to create the passing movements that looked good at times in the first half. Another chance now for the Gambia. Shot comes in from Abli Jallow. He's been more and more prominent, the number 3 for the Gambia, as this game has gone on. He and Yusufa Bob are making a bit of a nuisance of themselves in the middle of the park.
Yeah, and credit to Gambia as well. They've lifted their tempo in the game in the second half, and New Zealand failing to adjust just at the moment. And so, as you say, Piney, Abli Jallow, he had that shot just before that Marinovic saved. This time he's driving towards the penalty area and lifts his shot over the bar. But if you're Tom Saintfield, you're much happier after this first 13 minutes of the second half.
Sarpreet Singh rides a couple of challenges. They're okay, says the referee. Singh stays down, and another man's gone down, Just, I think, as well. So New Zealand with a couple of little injury concerns at the moment. I think Singh's okay, but Just seemed to go down in a bit of a heap.
This sort of, the way the game's going at the moment suits the Gambian side. It's getting more physical. They like the confrontational aspect of it. And, for New Zealand, they just got to go back to how they were playing in the first half. The tackles are getting a bit more vigorous here.
Yeah, I think Eli just had his foot trodden on there. Nothing malicious about that one. A couple of options on the bench. Gets the big thumbs up from Roland Jeffrey, the physio. He'll be okay. Callum McCowart, of course, is among the substitutes who perhaps might have sensed a bit of action there. A-League round 1 this weekend. Melbourne City and the Brisbane Roar kick us off Friday night at 9:45. We'll have that for you on Sky Sport 7. The Wellington Phoenix's long-awaited first match against the MacArthur side. Sunday night at 8:15. So Singh was appealing for the foul there, and then just with the boot-on-boot action. Seems to be okay, Elijah Just. He's going to be invited back on shortly. One of a number of Ole Football Academy products in this New Zealand side. He and McCowart and Parnica, Stamanic, Matt Garbutt, who we haven't seen yet, Elliot Collier, all out of Ole. Ryan Thomas, of course, also completed his football education at the Ole Football Academy just north of Wellington. Certainly been a production line of exciting young Kiwi footballers. Wellington Phoenix Academy as well, the likes of Kakachi, Singh, Bell, all coming out of that academy. So a couple of youth setups in the capital doing good things for the development of the young Kiwi player. There's Joe Bell addressing the latest set-piece situation. Chance for New Zealand to double their lead with plenty of bodies forward. It was headed for Wood, and it was Colley who got that vital touch, and he's been a good defensive presence today, Omar Colley. There's a bit of edge about this game now, Fred.
Yeah, it's firing up a bit. I think Gambia not happy with obviously the scoreline at the moment, and they're trying to just mix it up a bit. Always need to get back to controlling the ball. They did it really well in the first 45 minutes, not so good in the second 45 so far.
Yeah. The Gambia are pressing a lot higher as well, putting pressure on the likes of Boxall and Kerwin. They come again, the Gambia, will they? Yes, it falls to them. And flag up against Dembo Darbo, who'd come back from an offside position to collect that one by the looks of things. So Darbo, Barrow, Janko supported in midfield by Jallo and Bob. Started to find a bit of cohesion, the Gambian side. They're looking forward to their first appearance at the African Cup of Nations in January. They are ranked 147th in the world. Tunisia, Mali and Mauritania are their opponents in group play at that tournament. All ranked higher in the world, but always an exciting time when you qualify for a tournament for the first time, and the Gambia have done that, and Tom Saintfiet putting the final touches on his team's preparations before they head to Cameroon for that tournament in January. Just wonder when Danny Hay might think about some possible changes as well. I mentioned Callum McCowart, Matthew Garbutt, Andre de Jong as well in the attacking sense, Elliot Collier. De Jong and McCowart both goal scorers against Algeria A the other day.
Referees also letting a lot go at the moment. Some of the fouls that were picked up in the first half.
Singh into Wood, what a lovely ball. Chris Wood makes it 2, does he? Yes, he does. What a ball from Sarpreet Singh. Chris Wood pops up again. A brace for the big fella, and New Zealand lead at 2-0.
Oh, what a ball. We've been talking all morning about Sarpreet Singh getting on the ball, facing forward. He does it for the first time in the second half, and that's the result. Great run from Chris Wood. Just drops it off the shoulder of the defender. Perfectly weighted pass. He just has to run onto it. Keeper's committed. Just One touch round the keeper, slots it home. New Zealand 2-0. They've weathered a bit of a storm from Gambia, and now they've doubled their lead.
27th international goal now for Chris Wood. He's closing in well and truly on Vaughan Coveney. He'll no doubt be watching on nervously in Melbourne, although I think he'll probably quite like to have the mantle taken off him at some stage. It seems almost inevitable now that Chris Wood will do that at some stage. His 27th goal for New Zealand, and this his 60th full international. Tom Saintfiet might have been happy a few minutes ago with the way his side had risen to the occasion in the second half, but now he finds his team 2-0 down. Sarpreet Singh's ball through the heart of the Scorpions' defence. What an absolutely cracking piece of football from Sarpreet Singh. And just the kind of play that'll light up a football match, a moment of brilliance that can break a defence open like that.
Yeah, and that's the vision and the talent that Sarpreet Singh's got. It's to be able to see the pass and the run from Chris Wood. But the second thing is you've got to be able to play the pass. You know, the weight of his pass, and we see that time and time again. We saw it against Bahrain. Just the weight of his pass is nigh on perfect every time, and that really is an art form for Sarpreet Singh.
Such a crucial part of this New Zealand side now, Sarpreet Singh. We know about the move to Bayern Munich. We know about the ill-fated loan spell, the first one. He's a lot happier now at Regensburg, where he's getting plenty of game time and plenty of minutes in the legs and just becoming a very, very proficient footballer. Sees things on the pitch, as you say, Fred, that others don't, but then has the ability to be able to execute as well. And that's the thing, as you say, a lot of players can see what the best thing to do might be. It's an entirely different matter executing it like he just did.
There's a lot of people at home that can see it as well by me.
So now this will be interesting to see how New Zealand close this out, because they were 2-0 up against Curaçao, conceded to make it a bit nervy. 2-0 up against Algeria A the other day, conceded to make it a bit nervy. Danny Hay was annoyed on both occasions that New Zealand couldn't provide the game management needed to see those games out in terms of a clean sheet and a comfortable scoreline. He'd love for his side to be able to do that tonight and perhaps even add to the scoreline. Just. Kakachi. And it goes to Champness, and a rather tame finish from Joey Champness. Almost maybe caught in two minds. He might have wanted to slip Wood in. The shot was certainly the best option. No trouble for Guy yet. Might have caught a glimpse of Matt Garbutt warming up there, did we, Fred?
Yeah, it looked like it. Matt Garbutt ready to come on, along with Tommy Smith by the look of it. Down on the bottom of our screen.
So I guess that'll be... I
think there's a formation change potentially coming for the All Whites. Might be taking out one of the front players and dropping in an extra midfielder, dropping into a more of a 4-4-2 or a 4-diamond-2 formation, something like that.
Those changes can be made now with a quarter of the game to go. There is Matt Garbutt waiting for his opportunity to make an entrance. Tommy Smith there as well, the vastly experienced central defender, another with 10 years in the national side. Garbutt just starting out on his international career. This will be his third cap. Another 19-year-old. His family will be watching on proudly in the capital. Dad Andrew, a big football fan and a big football personality in New Zealand's capital. No, they're extremely proud of what their son has achieved and having the wherewithal to go away at such a young age to try and make a career in the game. That is a foul by Libby Kakachi on Sadie Janko. Again, a divot will need to be replaced. If they'll just wait to defend this free kick before they make the changes.
Yeah, trailing leg from Kakachi just gives Gambia a free kick in a handy position, although they haven't really threatened the New Zealand goal from set pieces.
So here is that change. Champness and Just off. Garbutt and Smith on. I think you're dead right, Fred. You picked it. The straight swap would have been Smith for Beininger, but instead they'll I guess, go to a back three now of the three centre-backs, Smith, Barnaker, Boxall.
Yeah. So formation change for New Zealand.
Musa Barrow is lining up this free kick. And push and shove in the penalty area, so no need for a save to be made by Stefan Marinovic. 41st cap for Tommy Smith, the 31-year-old out of Colchester United, and third international appearance for Matt Garbutt, playing at Torino. He's been a regular in the under-19 side there and looking for an opportunity early in the new year, perhaps to start training with the Torino first team. Could become the first New Zealand player to play Serie A.
New Zealand gone to a back five. So with Tommy Smith in the centre of the back, the three centre-backs, with Boxall on the right, Paynaker on the left.
Got an assignment here, the newly formed back line for New Zealand, but they negotiated okay. We'll get away from Bell, but Garbutt there to tidy up the scraps. Singh, Bell again, off on a run, Wood.
What this will do, though, as well, hopefully you'll see the likes of Nico Kerwin and Libby Kikache giving more freedom to get forward now. We've seen them pretty much for the whole game staying reasonably deep. But now I think with that extra cover at the back, the back three centre-backs, you'll see Kerwin and Kikache given more of a licence to get forward.
Here's a chance for the Gambia to break forward. Real chance now for Jallo. Back it goes, and as a foot in from Tommy Smith. Ably Jallo not able to find a teammate there. I think it was either Darbo or Barrow making their way forward. Tommy Smith with a pretty vital intervention.
Yeah, poor touch from Jallo, and the opportunity disappeared. He just needs to take that across his body onto his right foot and smack it. But you know, then poor first touch, and now he's looking for someone to pass to inside the opposition penalty area, and everything just evaporates.
Tommy Smith has been part of this New Zealand side for a while. Now that was a foul, but they're going to let play on because Chris Wood is hat-trick hunting at the other end. Gets away from his man. Is this an international hat-trick for Chris Wood? It's wide from Wood. I'll go back to check on the health of a New Zealand teammate, and a couple of subs coming for the Gambia as well. But it was a rather agricultural challenge. We're going to see Trawali and another Jallo, Lamine Jallo, into the action. Sonka Sundberg will be coming off. And I think there might have been a yellow card issued there for the earlier foul. Yusufa Bob is also making his way off. He's been pretty good in the heart of midfield for the Gambia today, Yusufa Bob.
Yeah, along with Ably Jallo, probably the pick of the Gambian players, both coming out of the midfield. Gets the arm around the shoulder from the coach.
Gets the debrief. $18 minutes and change left here in Dubai for New Zealand to close this one out, or perhaps to build on a lead. It'll be a pretty satisfied coaching staff if they can manage to keep their sheet clean, maybe get a couple more goals. It's been a good finish to the year. As we've mentioned a number of times, it was so long without a game for New Zealand. To have 4 and 5 weeks has been really beneficial as they build towards next year. Chance now for the Gambia perhaps to fashion something. Again, it's Janko who's at the heart of it, behind for a corner.
Good defending from Tommy Smith there, because Nando Paynaker had got caught upfield, and Tommy Smith adjusted well, called Boxall in behind him, and covered across for Libby Kikache there.
Barrow to swing in this corner. And the header is uncontested from about 8 yards, and I'm not sure you want to be giving players that much time and space in the middle of the penalty area from set pieces. Is that the big centre-back again, perhaps? Omar Colley on the end of that one. No, in fact, it was James Gomez, his central defensive partner. So perhaps a little bit of thinking to do for New Zealand there. So 2 Jellos on now. Lamine joins his brother Abley. Lamine Jello currently playing his football on loan in Hungary. So these two teams, as we've mentioned a couple of times, with players spread far and wide to ply their trade at club level. Wonder whether we might see that debut for Francis de Vries. Would keep up a pretty impressive record of New Zealand debutants. There's been at least one debutant in the last 8 games that New Zealand have played. If you go all the way back to the intercontinental playoff against Peru in 2017. Well, first of all, there's only 8 games since then, which is a bit of an issue, isn't there? But there's been a debutant, or at least one, in all of those games. Francis de Vries seems the most likely, unless they make a change at goalkeeper. Jamie Searle would also be on debut if he made his way on, but Danny Hayes had no problems giving players their chance. In the 4 games he's had in charge of the team, 12 players have made debuts. 10 of the current squad were given their debut by Danny Hay. Here's Kakachi blasting into space. Gets a return pass from Wood. Keeper out and gets there, just. That's that familiar explosive pace in the last 15 minutes of matches we used to see from Libby Kakachi in his time at the Wellington Phoenix. As games went on, his energy and his engine enabled him to do that down the left flank. Left many an A-League player flailing in his wake.
Yeah, real weapon for Danny Hay, having Libby Kakachi with his ability and his physical ability to get up and down the line, like deep into matches, as you say, Piney, is such a good asset for a team.
They just attempt to string passes together and midfield breaks down for New Zealand. Then it's a foul on Garbutt by the new man, Lamine Jello. Garbutt very keen to get involved. We shall remember he was part of the squad that went to the Olympics. Initially, he was going to be a non-travelling reserve. Then they decided that all the reserves could travel because it would have been difficult to get them there under COVID rules. But he was still outside the official squad. But so impressive was he at training that he found his way into the matchday squad and into the starting 11 for the last couple of games, Matt Garbutt. Hugely impressed was Danny Hay with the way that he went about his business in that Olympic camp, even though initially he wasn't part of the squad that was named for the tournament. Flag up against Lamine Jello on this near side. He can't believe it. Haven't seen too many strikers agree with offside decisions, to be honest, in my time. New Zealand squad have enjoyed themselves in the UAE. They've linked up with 2-cap all-white Craig Henderson during their time here. These days he works for Abu Dhabi Cricket. Craig Henderson. A couple of caps in 2013, including off the bench in the intercontinental playoff against Mexico and Wellington. But knows a lot of these players, and coach Danny Hay has been a bit of a tour guide, has provided training facilities, and even took them to the cricket the other day when New Zealand beat England in that semi-final of the T20 World Cup, not far from where this game's being played.
Yeah, I think it's also been a perfect opportunity, should the OFC qualification tournament be in this part of the world, like they're talking about Dubai or potentially in Qatar, then you know, this preparation has been perfect. To come into this part of the world, experience the conditions, the heat, you know, the pitches even. Yeah, it's all been a very, very productive camp.
Lamine Jello certainly looking to get involved early in his time on the pitch. He and Kakachi come together. Last touch off Jello. Again, he disagrees with the decision. 16th cap tonight for Lamine Jello. Just the one goal at international level. Saw the New Zealand technical staff heading towards the fourth official with perhaps another change coming. Plenty of football to come for you on Sky Sport in the weeks ahead. The A-League women's competition underway with the Wellington Phoenix involved for the first time, their first game Friday, December the 3rd. And 2 internationals for the Football Ferns against South Korea. The first is on Saturday week, 6 o'clock, and then Tuesday for the Night Owls, 11 o'clock. Again, we'll have both of those games for you on Sky Sport. So the men and women in action internationally and at club level. It's just so great to see. Stamanic with a bit of real estate to work and driving forward. This is good from Marko Stamanic. Has the ball. It's towards Garbett. Garbett couldn't find Wood, who was waiting eagerly in the 6-yard box for a tap-in.
It looks like Kelvin Karlua getting ready to come on. You'd think that'd be a straight swap at right back for Nico Kerwin.
Kerwin's got some work to do before he can take his rest, though. Trewelly is over there on the left-hand side in 20, waiting in the box for it now. Trewelly gets a shot away, which is deflected behind. Into the final 10 minutes, and here is Kelvin Karlua into the action. And just as you predicted, Fred, Nico Kerwin's shift is done. He'll make way for Kelvin Karlua, his third cap. 22-year-old, currently trialling in Europe. Still no update on that quest for a club in Europe for Kelvin Karlua, the former Eastern Suburbs player. Barrow with the corner. Boxall, a powerful header, pushing the box, was there? New Zealand thought so. Referee of another view. That was a foul on the edge. So it was Garbett who got the studs raked down his shin there as he cleared that one.
Yeah, I think Gambia were calling for a handball there in the penalty area. Just trying to find a way back into this game, the Gambian side. I think from a New Zealand perspective, defensively very, very sound to this point this evening. It's yeah, really has been limiting this Gambian side to the odd strike on goal, but nothing really. They haven't been under really undue pressure.
Karlua with his first defensive assignment. He's up to it okay at the moment, but the cross does come in, and that was about as close as they've come. And it was Dembo Darbo who got the little right foot to it, deflected it past Marinovic, but also defeated the post.
Yeah, Darbo there in the 6-yard box. Marinovic in a bit of a tangle with him, but Darbo couldn't apply the final touch. See, there's a little bit of consternation. Painaka, Tommy Smith, Marinovic, about how that opportunity actually came to pass. But this again goes back to the point. New Zealand have had a hatful of chances in this game. This game, I mean, you're looking at this game, 10 minutes to go, and New Zealand really should be 3 or 4-0 up. And so the game should be put to bed, and any opportunity for Gambia put out the window. But they sense that they could get themselves back into it with a flurry at the end.
New Zealand looking for a third now. Stamanic, plenty of black shirts there, including Garbett. Good save by the keeper, Karlua. Another great save, double save by Gaia. Well, he's flapped about at set-piece time, but he's kept out 2 good efforts there. First from Garbett, then from Karlua. Oh, Kelvin Karlua's eyes must have lit up there. He's only just come on. Two good saves, sharp saves from Babu Gaya in goal for Gambia.
Yeah, great stops. This one from Garbutt gets down well, and then Calvin Kalua, just Johnny on the spot in the box. And Gay just puts up a big hand and just parries that one away.
Let's just say, Fred, they're worth a third goal. They've created enough chances. And it's exactly what Danny Hay has been saying. He wants these games put to bed. He doesn't want a goal that can come out of nothing, as it almost did a few moments ago for the Gambia, making for nervous times. They'll come again through Lamine Jallow, who does well to keep it in. Still there for the Gambia. Another shot straight at Marinovic. They're banging on the door a little bit, the Scorpions. And New Zealand, at the moment, are dealing with it.
Yeah, ball gets fizzed across the 18-yard box, and then the final strike straight into the grateful arms of Stefan Marinovic. But again, this is the unstructured nature of how African football goes in the last 10, 15 minutes. And it becomes very individualistic. There's big spaces opening up in the game, and it's also up to New Zealand to try and capitalise on that space.
Wood tries to combine with Singh, can't.
And this is exactly the time of the game where you'd hope Sarpreet Singh would really flourish, because there are huge holes that he can occupy, get the ball, turn, and slip passes in to Chris Wood.
Not too many arguments about this yellow card, Fred.
Holy moly, he's got he's got two shirts there.
Yeah, I think Matthew Garbutt decided that that would be as far as Sadie Janko would be going on this occasion. He didn't miss. Yellow card handed out to Matt Garbutt as Gambia look to score in the final 5 minutes. Jallow. Jallow! It's still there for the Scorpions on the far side. Barrow directed it back across goal. And New Zealand have kept it at 0. And I think they're probably wondering how.
Yeah, just look for a minute there for Barrow. It was easier to... just needed a touch, and he's kept it. He's kept it out.
It's good defending.
Yeah. Just a shocking touch there.
That is an opener goal, as you'll see. Musa Barrow for all of it. Hang on, hold that thought, because here's Wood. It's off the post for Chris Wood, inches away from a hat trick. And as we were watching Musa Barrow miss one at the other end, Chris Wood had an opportunity against the woodwork, and then hasn't got the energy to get on the end of that cross, but acknowledges the intent. Well, international hat-tricks are fairly rare. Heineke this time is holding back Lamine Jallow, and he might get a yellow card. Yes, he will. So a flurry of cards and some interesting conversations going on late in this one. Another yellow handed this one to Lamine Jallow for his reaction.
Yeah, Garbutt's got to be careful, because he's obviously on a yellow card, doesn't want to get involved in any of that sort of shenanigans and get himself sent off. Looks like McCowart's coming on.
A few minutes at the end for Callum McCowart, a 4th international appearance for him. Lamine Jallow just taking issue with a couple of things that Matthew Garbutt's been doing. Heineke that time was, well, you've got to be a bit careful there if you're Lamine Jallow. He's swinging his arms around. You connect with blows like that and you'll find yourself in a bit of strife. The Scorpions looking for a late bite. Latest attack is broken up by Sarpreet Singh cleverly. McCowart is into the action in 12. Garbutt. Just calmed down at the back by Tommy Smith. Bit of space opening up down the left if Kakachi can find Garbutt. He can't, and it breaks again for Jallow. Lamine Jallow. This time it's Starmanich who rides him to the ground. And to be honest, if you're Lamine Jallow, you've probably got every right to be a bit frustrated.
Oh, absolutely, because every time he looks like he's getting in a dangerous position, he just gets dragged to the turf. This time Marko Stamanic goes into the book. You see there, I mean, it's just as clear a yellow card as you'll ever see. I don't know why Marko Stamenic is shaking his head about it. But this again harks back to the fact New Zealand not really managing the game to its conclusion, and they're just the game's just broken open, and Gambia, are just taking advantage of that.
It's going to be Barrow to deliver, far post, and up and over she goes. Troelli had arrived. He's got good height, the substitute, but couldn't get the direction on the header. Didn't have to come far for this game. He plays his football in the UAE. Couldn't direct it goalwards. Into the final minute. There'll be some time added, obviously, for stoppages, substitutions, etc. Referee wants Stefan Marinovic to get on with it. So New Zealand looking at back-to-back clean sheets as well. The 1-0 win over Bahrain back on October the 12th. 2-0 ahead here of the Gambia, despite their best intentions. And that miss on the line from Barrow was quite something. Chris Wood will be kicking himself that he couldn't convert his hat-trick. Here he is back, still full of running though, Chris Wood. Singh. Clever feet again from Sarpreet Singh. Garbutt and Stamenic combining. 4 extra minutes to be played as Stamenic breaks forward. Another yellow card, and is that Kelvin Kalua just out of shot? He's been issued with one there. Or is it the Gambian player? No, Kalua's got the ball for the throw-in, so it wasn't him.
Maybe Michael Boxall for time wasting,
perhaps.
Something like that.
Garbutt. Clever feet in the middle of the park from Matt Garbutt. McCowett getting a few early touches in his introduction. Singh. Always excitement when he's on the ball. Sarpreet Singh straight at the keeper. Shot from distance from Sarpreet Singh.
He's been knocking in goals like that from that sort of distance at club level, Sarpreet Singh. So every opportunity there to have a pop. Here's McCowett, who's replaced Joe Bell.
Lamine Jallow, who's been right in the thick of things since his introduction.
He's been very good since he's come on, Jallow.
Yes.
Really sparked things up for Gambia.
Kalua steps in and breaks up that latest would-be attack. He and McCowett combining. Singh and Kakachi, the former Phoenix teammates, together. Here's another former Phoenix player, McCowett. He can't find Wood. So the Gambia now looking for what would only be a consolation. Abli Jallow has been good for them. Musa Barrow hasn't found the radar tonight from distance. Colley joining the attack. Lamine Jallow now. All hands on deck for New Zealand as they look to defend here, and it is Matthew Garbutt with a really good tackle. And I think Lamine Jallow knew that one was okay. Singh looking to let that one run to what he hoped would be a retreating Chris Wood. Wasn't to be. We are going to see a debut if there's time for Francis de Vries. It'll only be for a minute or so. He'll be hoping the ball goes out so he can get across the white line for an international debut. In the meantime, Janko. Away by Smith. Musa Barrow, clever. Musa Barrow with the shot, it's wide. And we are going to see the introduction of Francis de Vries. So this is the extension of a trend I talked about earlier of debutantes. A wry smile for Francis de Vries. Big moment for he and his family as he makes an all-whites debut for 30 seconds or so. What a story. Based in Sweden for a few years now, part of the Värnamo side that recently won promotion to the top Swedish league. And an international debut for Francis de Vries. Libby Kakachi takes a rest. Stefan Marinovic winding down the clock. We're past the minimum 4 minutes we were told would be added. One final chance perhaps for New Zealand to find a third. Stamanic. Singh couldn't poke it past his man and ended up fouling him. That might be the last action of this one in Dubai. No, still time to play, says the referee. The Gambia might look to fashion something right near the end. Here's Barrow, thought about it on the left foot. Boxer went to deck, calls for a penalty, flicked up and over by Truelli, gathered by Marinovic. Calls for handball as Michael Boxer went down in the penalty area. No ability for a video assistant referee to take part. Referee brings proceedings to a close. For the first time since 2016, the All Whites have won 3 international games on the trot. A Chris Wood brace, a goal either side of half-time have done the job for the All Whites. They're 2-0 winners over the Gambia in Dubai.
Yeah, good result, fantastic result for New Zealand. And this, I think, just continues on this building of expectation for this squad. And as we look forward to the January window and then March World Cup qualification, I think the real positives out of tonight were the clean sheet and also some of the combination play that we saw, especially early on in the game, and some of the beautiful touches from the likes of Sarpreet Singh and Marko Stamanic. But all in all, very, very solid, good performance from a very good all-white squad.
They'll be happy. Danny Hay, a happy coach, some happy players who'll jump on a plane and head back to their various clubs now, looking to reassemble in early 2022 for what we hope will be a massive year of football for the All Whites as we head towards the World Cup at the back end of next year. Satisfaction for New Zealand. 2-0 winners here in Dubai tonight. Chris Wood on the score sheet twice. Some good performances and some happy players and officials as well by the looks of things. Let's throw you back to our studio team with some dissection of what they've seen. New Zealand winning it 2-0.
Thanks for that, Piney. Cheers, mate. Another successful international window draws to a close for the All Whites. A win over Algeria A 2-1 at the weekend, followed up by this morning's win over the Gambia 2-0. Jacob Spoonley, Ivan Visilic in studio watching this one this morning. Former All Whites they are. Guys, what did we think of today's game primarily? It was a dominant performance throughout by the All Whites, Jacob. They buttoned off in the early exchanges of the second but managed to wrestle back control.
Yeah, look, it didn't go as we were planning, but I think we can take some positives out of this game. As Fred alluded to, a 2-0 win. It's a really professional display. We kept a clean sheet. That's our 6th in 10 games. We kept Barrow quiet for large chunks of that game. We were tactically versatile, but for me, the combination between Singh and Wood was great. And we saw that Singh doesn't need to dominate games. He can just wait on moments, and he's still got that quality to deliver. And I think we continued creating chances for the full 90. However, again, there's going to be discussion about the conversion of chances.
There certainly is. Look, I think it's a fantastic result, obviously, with the win, but keeps the confidence up in the group. But it also makes them aware that, you know, it's not quite perfect. It's never perfect, but, you know, at the same time, it reminds them that they need to continue that dominance further. I thought they came out in the second half. They were the lesser of the two teams that weren't as good. You know, Gambia must have probably got a rev up from the coach at half-time. They came out, they played quite well for 15 minutes. The positive for us is we held on to the 1-0 and then we got the 2-0, even though we were under the cosh a little bit there. So, you know, great to get the result and also lead it into the next window is, you know, is a good start.
Yeah, I think in that game, we met the standard of the opposition. We didn't elevate, we didn't dominate, and I think Gambia were probably pretty similar to a decent Pacific Island team. So that would have been a good little run out for Danny to see how this team would go in World Cup qualifying.
Well, when we want goals, we ask for Chris Wood to step up, and step up he did. Both goals courtesy of the Burnley striker. The first from a corner. How did you view it, Ivan?
Yeah, we talked about Chris Wood not being so much involved, but he's come away with 2 goals. And, you know, he's in the right place there with a beautiful flick to put it in the far post there, off a ball straight back in there from Joe Bell. And then second up as well, we see him make a beautiful run down the line. We'll see it coming up soon here, where we want Sarpreet Singh to receive the ball in the pocket, looking for those killer balls in behind. Wood makes a great run there, and he's actually gone around the keeper really well, to be honest.
And I thought the ball into Champness was the ball that was on. He's actually taken one of the centre-backs away, allowed space for Chris Wood to then go into, and Sarpreet Singh has threaded the needle. That not only has dissected the 2 centre-backs for Gambia, but it's got perfect weight on it. Chris Wood just needs to take it beyond the goalkeeper and tap it in. You can't ask for anything more in terms of the delivery, and that's why Singh is so exciting.
Do you think he grew into the game as the game wore on, Chris Wood?
I thought you were going to ask about Sarpreet Singh. I think Sarpreet Singh cut a frustrated figure for much of that first half. Woodsy, I think he was patient. In the second half, we saw him staying high, really trying to create space for his midfielders to then feed him off the back of.
Yeah, to me, he played a very similar game to he always does. He worked hard on the ball. He was that target man that the All Whites needed, and he was in the right place at the right time. I mean, I think 2 shots, 2 goals. It's a pretty good completion.
It's not bad, Ivan, not bad at all. One of the narratives, though, of the last month or so with watching these All Whites games is that they're creating a whole raft of chances, but they're failing to convert. It was the same story again, Ivan, today.
It was, yeah. I talked earlier about creating those chances, and we kept doing that through the game, which was great. But, one thing we've got to be careful of is, a 2-0, when you're up 2-0 and goes back to 2-1 and it's an away leg, it's going to come into factor probably heading into those playoffs if we make the playoff into Continental. So it's about cleaning off the game and making it, in the long run, a little bit easier for us to get through the game. So it's managing that victory.
Yeah, positive that we're creating the chances, and we see that the continuation of the first half going all the way into the 90 minutes. However, there's a continuation of a pattern here, which is we've been 2-0 up against the likes of Algeria and Curacao. We haven't closed that back door, though.
Well, I mean, there was an opportunity for those, I suppose, the failing to take those chances, biting the All Whites in the rear. Gambia had a number of chances in the last 10 minutes, and we'll see them here. As you're talking about, Jacob, if this happens in an intercontinental playoff against better opposition, they bury these, and we've failed to take the opportunity to bury the contest early.
Well, I think a good analogy is if we've got a home first leg, we've gone up through a wonderful effort from Chris Wood, hopefully, and we'll see the lack of conversion mean that the door's not quite shut. So if you go into that 80-minute period and you should be 3 or 4-0 up and you're only 2-1 up, you then create the chance for a frenzy at the end if the opposition does get a goal back. And more than that, in the second leg, you're going into enemy territory where it's going to be a lot more difficult to play, and you're not going to get the chances that we saw the All Whites have tonight.
Yeah, look, it's another great experience in those conditions, having to deal with that last 10, 15 minutes. And yeah, Gambia was better second half, and they did create better chances. So it's just an eye-opener for the team to understand that they have to keep doing things 100% correctly to see out of the games.
Ivan, is it fair to say that it was a bit of a mixed bag for our wide men tonight? I'm talking about Eli Just and Joey Champness. Champness played wonderfully well in the Bahrain game last month. We're expecting similar things from him tonight. Maybe didn't live up to that billing?
Yeah, I think maybe we had our own high expectations of him because he did play very well in his debut on that and create a lot of chances. Today he created a few as well, which is great, but at times I think he got overloaded with defenders. The overlapping run from Kerwin would sometimes bring another defender there. So, potentially at times he just needs to be left wide one-on-one, and we saw that a lot against Bahrain, but we didn't see that too much this game.
Yeah, I think the game against Bahrain, we saw Joey begin a lot of space. The Bahrain midfield didn't drop, so he was going one-on-one against his fullback a lot more. In this game, Gambia dropped off, and they killed the space that Champness looks to exploit, and Elijah Just looks to exploit down that left-hand side. It simply wasn't there. We didn't adjust, and I think in the second half, the change to a 3-5-2 was what Danny saw as being a frustration with not getting enough out of those wide positions. Let's change it. Let's see if wing-backs can give us a better opportunity going forward and providing that width.
Well, what about those midfielders, the likes of Sarpreet Singh? We'll get to Marco Stamenic shortly, but Sarpreet Singh, great to see him back from his stint in Germany. And it was almost like he was living off scraps for a time. He was frustrated at others. And then when he finally got his feet to the ball, sublime.
Absolutely, and I think the frustration came from we were dwelling on the ball at the back. We were potentially taking too many touches, and we were actually getting the centre-backs in the positions where the midfield should be, and that was killing the ball into Singh. He also cut a very frustrated figure. He's obviously a targeted man. He's got that Bayern Munich label on his back, so he would have been known to Gambia, and they would have gone after him. And we saw that, a lot of fouls, Bob in particular, pulling him down, frustrating him, but then that second half, despite all that, he still comes up with the answer.
Yeah, that's what sums it up to me. You know, he's targeted. They're going to know who he is, and he was frustrated at times. You could see him throwing his arms in the air. He didn't get the ball as much as maybe he wanted to in the right pockets, but then when he got it, he created, and we scored from it. So you know that consistency to stay in the game and somehow
that patience, isn't it?
And that patience then gives us a reward in the end. So that shows that quality that he has.
Ivan, does that take some getting used to, being like the target man, that opposition teams, they know a lot about you. There's a fear factor about Sarpreet Singh. All of a sudden, he's no longer the young kid who was playing for the Wellington Phoenix. He's with a big German club.
Absolutely, and there's expectations on him to produce the goods. And we talked about Chris Woods producing the goods, and now Sarpreet Singh has done it again. And, you know, both of them are doing that really well. And, you know, Sarpreet will be learning that at club level. I mean, he'll be under the pressure to produce it every single day, every single game, won't he?
Yeah, and I think you're right. He's no longer the Wellington Phoenix player. He's the Bayern Munich, squad player at the moment, because he still is that. He's not in that first team, but I think he's got to encourage that pressure. I think it's a situation where, you know, he's thriving under it. He wants to, create the diamond, so to speak, that with the pressure that comes with being that targeted man.
Can we talk about Marco Stamenic now? Because I can't believe he's still a teenager. You know, the size of the guy, the composure he's shown. And, you know, it's not just about getting forward for Stamenic. It's the defensive work that he seems to revel in as well, Jacob.
Absolutely. And I think Marco Stamenic, for me, today was the unsung hero. I'd even go so far as to suggest that he was probably the man of the match. We've talked about Sarpreet Singh. Obviously, he's got the assist and he'll grab the headlines. But for me, the way in which he played the game and that supporting role in midfield was fantastic. Now, if you want to talk about Joe Bell being the foundation and Sarpreet Singh being the answer, if you will, Marco Stamenic is the complete packet. He can go midfield to midfield. He's got that complete skill set. And more than that, he was utilising that sixth spot when Joe Bell wasn't playing against Algeria. So it provides an alternative to Joe Bell in that defensive midfield role if Danny wants to play that role there by itself.
Yeah, totally agree, Jacob. He was very good today. He's dynamic. He's box-to-box midfielder, so he can produce some quality attacking skills, but also defensively. You know, we saw that with some slide tackles and that yellow card later on. You know, I mean,
I love that, by the way. I absolutely love that.
Well,
as a goalkeeper, I'd be screaming out, just take him down. I don't want a chance in the last couple of minutes, mate. And I think I've done it to you in the past.
Well, yeah, he knows what the game needs at that time, you know, and that's great for a teenager. So, you know, he produced really good. Today, I thought he was fantastic.
Ivan, maybe if there's a slight criticism of Stamenic, it's that he wasn't selfish enough in certain moments. There were one occasion I can think of in the second half there where he won the ball and instead of just driving on, he opted to play Eli Just. So maybe in certain scenarios he could be more selfish, do you think?
Yeah, I remember that time advancing forward where I think he gave the ball quite early and it didn't come out for the All Whites, but that's just part of learning the situation of the game, and I'm sure he's going to get that experience where he can get that. The good thing for me is that he's on the ball, very comfortable technically, switching the play as the other midfielders do, getting the tackles in, you know, creating the chances. So it's a great position that he's been playing the last few games.
I think for me, it's because of the dominance of Wood and Singh. You know, they get talked about a lot in the media, but I think in that team, the team looks to them a lot to then play through. And you're right, they don't always need to do that. Another player that I think we saw that deference from to Chris Wood in the first half in particular was Joey Champness. At times, he'd gotten behind. He could have driven towards goal, creating a better chance, but he was looking for Chris Wood. It was almost tentative. He wanted to get the ball into Woodsy so that he could score the goal. Whereas if we've got to be complete and balanced, we need Stamenic to be dominant. You're right, to have broad shoulders and to stamp his authority on the game and say it doesn't need to go through Singh or we don't need to score through Chris Wood. I can do it as well.
Yeah, of course, these All Whites fixtures in the October and November international windows, they're all part of building towards the World Cup qualifying campaign in March early next year. But on the way there, we can confirm for you that the All Whites will play again early next year in January against an as yet unknown opposition. What does that mean, though, for some of the A-League players, Jacob? Because they'll be in the middle of an A-League season. Is there a window of opportunity to get some of those players, the likes of Costa and Tim Payne and maybe even Ollie Sale, into the All-White setup before the World Cup qualifiers begin?
Yeah, exactly. Look, it hasn't been confirmed yet. They're still working through it and going through the motions, but the fact that we're playing again is great. So if I'm an A-League player, if I'm Costa Barbarouses, if I'm Marco Rojas, Tim Payne, Ollie Sale, I'm looking at that window and I'm keeping an eye on the COVID restrictions. I'm hoping that New South Wales allows people to then go overseas and come back without having to go through MIQ. And if that is the case, it'll be great because we haven't seen the local players yet. And I can tell you that they're chomping at the bit. They want to be part of this all-white side. Barbarouses, Marco Rojas in particular, they'll be looking at this and saying, this is a style of football that I want to be involved in and I want to show Danny what I can do because I don't want to miss out on that World Cup qualifying squad that's going to be in March.
Yeah, the games, the pathway to the 2022 World Cup, it's already started, but the January one is huge because it's right before the qualifiers. So it gives a chance for those players to come in the squad. It gives a chance for the coach to see them, but it also gives the players another chance to get together, to gel together prior to some of the biggest games of their careers.
On the subject of international football, we've got plenty more for you here on Sky Sport, the home of international football, if you like. The Football Ferns will be coming up at the end of this month. They've already played against Canada and they improved throughout that two-match series, I think you'd agree. This time up, they've got South Korea in Goyang. It's November 27 and November 30, both games live here on Sky Sport. And the Wellington Phoenix, both men and women, will be in action very, very shortly. In fact, the A-League season starts for men this coming Friday. We've got Melbourne City and Brisbane Roar kicking things off, and then comes Sunday night, the Davila Derby, as Jason Pine so eloquently put it in his call. It's the former captain with Macarthur FC going up against Wellington Phoenix. What a way to get the season underway. And then this one, Western Sydney Wanderers women up against the Wellington Phoenix women's side. The very first time we're going to see the women out of the black and yellow Wellington Phoenix. And that'll be a double header, actually, because the men will play at the conclusion of that clash. Let's talk about the Football Ferns first of all. I said that they grew in that Canadian two-header fixture. What was your take on that and their growth?
There was a massive jump forward from game one to game two, and we saw the Ferns committing to the approach that Klim Kova's put in place. They were a lot more decisive, they were a lot more determined, and they took the match to Canada, which was brilliant. Again, hopefully we can see the local players being part of the squad for the career games. The likes of Stock, Wilkinson, Vandermeer, Bunge, Satchel and Anton. That's a huge contingent, and Klim Kova will be hoping that she can call upon them, particularly given the lack of stock that we've currently got at centre-back.
Yeah, I feel like you're always pushing the proverbial uphill with a stick when you don't have the likes of Abby Ursieg, Ivan.
Yeah, that's always going to be tough, but what I liked was the response from the team. I mean, they kept playing a newer style of football for the team, and they worked really hard. The games were very good. And look, we've got a World Cup coming up in New Zealand not long away, so these games are absolutely so important.
It's so good, yeah.
It seems to be a long way away, but every window needs to be filled with quality opposition, and we're seeing that again now, which is great.
Yeah, and I suppose helping out that run for the Football Ferns through to the World Cup of 2023 is the introduction of this women's team at the Wellington Phoenix. How excited are you to see some of our local talent in the A-League competition? Yeah,
it's great. I mean, it's about time in a way, but for them to now be in a professional environment is just going to help their game grow as well. And for us to be able to watch more Kiwis on the field and playing against Aussies and competing, it's going to be great for the game.
I think it's going to build the depth for the Football Ferns if you want to look at it from a two-tier approach. The fact that we've now got our own A-League's women's franchise is fantastic. And for me, it gives opportunities to the likes of Lily Airfield to really stamp her claim on one of those goalkeeper spots. And also Chloe Knott, a player that I really enjoy watching. Not only is combative, but brings a lot of finesse to that midfield position. She likes to get forward. And I think she's just been waiting for an opportunity like this.
And in a couple of words or less, what are we expecting from the Phoenix men this year? No Davila. Are they up to it? No Taylor as well, obviously.
Yeah, look, some big changes. Looking forward to watching football again on TV, and yeah, we always expect the best, and we can hope they can do well.
That was massively non-committal. I'm going to jump in and say that they're going to win the first game. Macarthur have not been good. They've conceded so many goals in their pre-season, so this is a good chance for the Phoenix to start off right.
My thanks to Jacob Spoonley and Ivan Visilic. We've been watching the All Whites and the Gambia. A 2-0 win in the November window. They'll be back in January, and so will we here on Sky Sport.